Rockwood Lump Charcoal. If you're like me and log a lot of hours behind the barbecue pit, make sure you have a bag of Rockwood by your side next time you grill. You don't have to use nearly as much Rockwood charcoal as traditional briquettes, so your bag lasts longer, plus it burns cleaner, faster, and more evenly, providing a superior grilling experience. Use it once and you'll never want to use anything else. Rockwood Lump Charcoal is available at over 100 area locations. Find the closest one to you at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Hi, I'm Officer Jacob Boomgarden with the Springfield, Missouri Police Department. We're currently looking for driven, qualified team players to become the next generation of community-minded servants in Springfield, Missouri. Our salaries and benefits are paid from day one. Plus, a career with the SPD gives you a truly unique opportunity to serve the community as a leader of it. To learn more, visit gospd.com. That's gospd.com. gospd.com. Brought to you by the Springfield, Missouri Police Department.
Number one for live and local conservative talk.
It's a battle for free speech against the left.
I think they cheated before. They're going to try to do it again.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
Depend on it.
News Talk STL.
I'm Ainsley Earhart.
I'm Trey Gowdy, and this is the Fox News Rundown.
Friday, May 31st, 2024. I'm Lisa Brady. History made in a New York courtroom as the former president is convicted of criminal charges, but vowing it's long from over.
Anybody that has 12 citizens of New York look them in the eye and find him guilty of these counts, of felony counts on a trial like this, has got to feel it. I mean, it's definitely a gut punch.
I'm Jared Halpern. Could a ban on Ukraine firing U.S. weapons into Russia soon be lifted? Several U.S. allies say it's time to do so.
Now, we're hearing a very different stance when we're looking at statements that we've heard from France and Germany, who announced this week that they do support Ukraine in using their weapons to fight back at Russian military sites in Russia, but only if they have already been provoked.
And I'm Jimmy Fallon. I've got the final word on the Fox News Rundown.
No U.S. president has ever faced a criminal trial. Now, former President Trump is convicted in the New York hush money case he condemns as interference in the 2024 election, telling reporters shortly after the verdict yesterday he's an innocent man.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial, that the real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here.
He did not testify in his own defense during a trial spanning 6 weeks. The jury's decision came at the end of 2 days of deliberations, finding the former president guilty on all 34 counts of falsifying business records to conceal what Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg says was a scheme to corrupt the 2016 election.
While this defendant may be unlike any other in American history, we arrived at this trial and ultimately today at this verdict in the same manner as every other case that comes through the courtroom doors.
Trump attorney Will Scharf telling Fox News there's nothing normal about this case.
There's nothing normal about resurrecting dead misdemeanor business records charges from 7 years ago and bringing them against the leading presidential candidate in the country at the height of a presidential election.
The Biden-Harris campaign says the verdict shows no one is above the law. But President Biden posted the only way to keep the former president out of the Oval Office is at the ballot box. Many Republicans predicting that what they call a politically motivated and unfair trial will backfire. Florida Congressman Byron Donalds urging people to remember in November.
Because if they're going to go after their political rival to stop him, what do you think they're going to do to you to get you to bend the knee to their crazy agenda, which is failing America?
The prosecution's case was that falsifying business records was motivated by an underlying crime, that hiding reimbursements for Michael Cohen's hush money payments to Stormy Daniels was part of promoting an election through unlawful means. And Judge Juan Merchan gave jurors 3 options for the unlawful means, including a tax law violation, and said they didn't have to be unanimous about that. The verdict came hours after they reheard some of the instructions, along with testimony from former attorney Cohen and former tabloid publisher David Pecker, who testified about paying to keep potentially damaging stories quiet, including the affair claims of Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels.
And the fact that this was a relatively quick verdict told me that the group was cohesive, and that generally bodes poorly for the president, as it did.
Jim Trusty is a former prosecutor and a former Trump lawyer.
It's not even really about the length of the deliberations as much as it is about the jury selection, the jury pool, and then the jury instructions. And I think a Manhattan jury has kind of proven their politics in this verdict to some degree. And I think the instructions took what could have been very complicated and challenging instructions of law about how they felonize these misdemeanors and turned it into kind of a all-you-can-eat buffet where the jury didn't have to be unanimous on certain elements of the felony crimes, which, will come back to haunt them on appeal, I think, but grease the skids for kind of a quick and easy verdict on the intent question here.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit, because the way prosecutors structured this case has been called unconstitutional by some critics, essentially mixing state and federal law in order to turn misdemeanors into felonies. It worked for this jury, though. I mean, do you think it's all, political bias is why it worked for this jury?
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I think it's a combination. I think that the politics of the jury is certainly difficult. The raw percentages of how people vote in Manhattan is pretty stark. There's very few jurisdictions that are that uniform in their feelings about President Trump in general. You had jurors get on this jury that said things like they don't really like him, they don't like his public persona, but wink, wink, we'll be fair. So that's uphill. You run out of strikes at some point, as the defense did in this case, and you're stuck with who you have. You had two attorneys on the jury. That's not usually a great recipe either. But again, the jury instructions here, whatever the intent was of the judge, it effectively put his finger on the scale, because really challenging issues such as, were the original entries even fraudulent, which I would say they really weren't. It gets much more challenging for the defense if the jury is allowed to kind of pick and choose what motivation they think affected this. And you touched on the federalization. There is no reason in God's green earth that this jury shouldn't have been able to hear from an expert, a former chair of the FEC, about FEC law. Cohen and Pecker made references to FEC law, and the judge incorporated it into the jury instructions at the end, that was an acceptable basis for finding the intent that called to turn these misdemeanors into felonies. So, that is the type of stuff that I think an appellate court is going to really have a hard time getting past when they review this case.
Mm-hmm. FEC meaning Federal Election Commission law, right? So is that the best basis for an appeal? Is that like the number one issue in your mind?
I think that's a huge one. The other one that really strikes me as having a lot of teeth to it is the issue of collateral evidence coming out. Even though the government didn't end up calling Karen McDougal, and I think that was a game time decision, there was mention of her. And there was all this talk about, although not showing, the Access Hollywood tape. That's pretty collateral stuff to this case. And right in the beginning of this trial, the Harvey Weinstein reversal came out from a New York appellate court, saying, as they've always said, you can't rely on uncharged conduct to show a propensity, to show that a defendant is just engaged in bad behavior. And so I think here, I suspect that the decision that was made was they weren't going to end with Michael Cohen. They were going to end with Karen McDougal, who was probably a more presentable witness than Stormy Daniels. And all of a sudden that case came out and they said, we better distance ourselves a little bit from the error we're inviting. I still think the mention of the McDougal NDA and the Access Hollywood tape are flashpoints for a potentially successful appeal.
The former president has said all along, this is about politics, weaponization of the justice system in an election year. Can that be argued on appeal?
It's going to be a real challenge. I mean, there are constitutional complaints that are made from time to time on appeal for selective prosecution. That generally means you've got a whole bunch of similarly situated people that don't get treated the same way. Part of the problem is, I don't know how you show anybody is in the category of NDA bookkeeping misdemeanors being elevated to felonies. So there may be, a decent record for pursuing that idea. It might be more of a politically astute observation for the team to make over the long run for the election than something that wins in court. It's generally uphill to show you were just treated poorly. But there was a lot of politicization to this case. I mean, there's plenty of smoke, if not fire, to show this was a win for lawfare, perhaps at the expense of the respect of the criminal justice system by this country.
It's interesting that some of the Republicans reacting to this verdict are saying something similar to what President Biden and his campaign posted, that the future of the country will be decided at the ballot box in November still. How does this verdict, the presumptive Republican nominee now being a convicted felon, at least for now, how does that change the logistics of campaigning? And can the former president still be elected and sworn in?
Well, he can still be elected and sworn in primarily because the felonies in this case are not considered perfected. They're not actually registered as felonies until you get through the appellate process. And so, although he's been found guilty of felony crimes, if he was filling out a job application right now, he would not have to say, depending on how they phrase it, he would not have to say he's a convicted felon. But if you get through the appellate process and they deny your relief, at that point, it's official. At least that's how it goes federally. I think that's how it tracks in New York State court as well. So, but the political ramifications, anybody's guess is as good as anybody else's. We're in completely uncharted territory where a lot of the non-lawyers out there have had, I think, a legitimate reaction to all of this kind of selective investigation and prosecution and different treatment of President Trump. So who knows? His polls might jump up another 15% overnight because people just have a sense of fair play, and none of this feels fair.
He still faces 3 other criminal trials, Georgia election interference, and 2 federal cases, one over classified documents, a federal election interference case as well. It's not clear that any of them or the appeal of this case would be decided before the election. If he does win the election, do those trials get put on hold?
Yeah, it's a great question. Look, again, uncharted territory. The first thing is, I think most people would agree, although it's a unique moment, that if he wanted to pardon himself, at least for the federal crimes, and maybe only the federal crimes that are charged in the 2 indictments out of D.C. and out of South Florida, that he could do that. Will there be litigation that follows? I'm sure. But most people view that kind of remnant of the power of the king to include yourself and your loved ones. So he could probably wipe out the federal cases just like that. I don't think that the eligibility is going to change because none of these are going to be perfected felonies by the time November rolls around. So again, we'll see. And there'll undoubtedly be people that take up the torch and try to litigate things on this. And we may see the reluctant Supreme Court dragged into the battle again and again. Right now, the immunity issue has stalled the Washington case until the Supreme Court rules. But that same immunity ruling could affect all of these cases. And then we have, I think, a lot of interesting litigation bubbling up in South Florida where the judge doesn't seem to be going along with Jack Smith's demands, and the government's getting more and more petulant in the way they talk to and file pleadings with that court. So sometimes lawfare might collapse on its own weight, but today was at least a short-term win for the proponents of targeting people before they have evidence.
And that South Florida case you mentioned, that's the classified documents one, we should note. But if I'm following what you're saying about pardoning, self-pardoning, the thinking is that he would not be able to pardon himself for the state cases, the Georgia and the New York?
Well, that's the prevailing wisdom, but I've also heard from other experts that say they think he would have that power on kind of a supremacy clause basis to actually pardon the New York cases, New York and Georgia cases as well. So again, decent chance we'll find out if those cases stay on track or don't get overturned on appeal.
You know the president pretty well, the former president, having served as his lawyer. He appeared very calm, very measured in his remarks after the verdict. Do you think it's affecting him much more than he's letting on?
Well, I don't have any inside scoop. I haven't talked to him about it or anything. But look, anybody in a position where they're high profile, even if they feel reasonably confident that there's not going to be, horrific consequences like jail to follow, anybody that has 12 citizens of New York look them in the eye and find him guilty of these counts, of felony counts on a trial like this, has got to feel it. It's definitely a gut punch to kind of suffer through this process and to have such, I think, legitimate questions about the behavior of the prosecutors, the motivation of the prosecutors, the innovativeness of the charges, all that to say basically lawfare. So it's a bitter pill. I'm sure it's not sitting very well with him. But I think the first glimpse after the verdict was a bit encouraging in terms of being somewhat stoic about it and promising to take on the fight in kind of legal channels. And I hope that's contagious. I hope, for the good of the community, that Biden doesn't do a victory lap or he doesn't say something that comes off as kind of disingenuous, and that President Trump stays on the track he's on, which is basically bitterly fighting it, but not crossing any lines of civility that would worry us.
Jim Trusty, former prosecutor, former Trump lawyer, thank you very much for your time.
Sure, happy to join you.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code CORE or text CORE to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text CORE to 511-511. Morning Kick.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Message and data rates may apply. Paid for by Roundhouse Provisions.
If spring allergies keep you trapped inside, then you need Navage Nasal Care to keep you breathing clearly and enjoying all the beauties of spring. Navage helps clear nasal passages that are often clogged because of seasonal allergies. Navage gently flushes a pure, refreshing saline solution through your nasal passages to clear out congestion, sucking out that springtime pollen and other irritants trapped in your nose. Navage is available online at Navage.com or in stores at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, and Target. Navage, Navage.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students.
Danny Define here, host of the all-new show, The Next Gen, with me, Danny Define. We're going to cover all the hard-hitting topics on this show. National headlines and things happening right here in St. Louis.
Next Gen with Danny Define.
Join me every Sunday at 10 p.m. right here on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Hey, I'd like you to get to know Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. Those are dentists and my dental team, along with their dental team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. You know, whether it's economic value with their dental savings plan and their real concern about giving you value, which is, of course, quality at a great price, or whether it's their personal values, their dedication to absolute precision. I can tell you when I go in and get my treatment there, or just a cleaning, whatever, it's always, I get this feeling it's like laser guided precision. Well, yeah, they have lasers, but they don't do that for everything. Of course, it's the right tool for the right job. Whether it is dental implants, whether it's just general dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, and by the way, he can use some Botox in all the right ways for those applications as well. You'll find the greatest of care, the greatest value delivered with people who have real values, the values we share at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Get to know them by calling 636-978-0226, 636-978-0226, or advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
An important message now from all of us at Connor Roofing. So many of our friends and neighbors have storm damage from wind and hail. Please do not get ripped off by an out-of-town storm chaser who knocks on your door. Connor Roofing is a local St. Louis family business with decades of outstanding customer reviews. Connor Roofing has been here and will be here long after the door knockers are gone. If you think you have storm damage, please visit ConnorRoofing.com now. Give us a call. After the storm, remember the name Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor.
Agree.
I think conservatives have it wrong.
Or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump. I'm shaking my head. I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it. That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
I want to hear what people think and be able to talk about it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
That couldn't be easier because everything's ready to go in the app. Just say,
Alexa, play news from Fox. In Fox News.
It's the latest when you need it on demand from Fox News and Amazon Alexa. Look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Friday, May 31st. This is the Fox News Rundown. Former President Donald Trump isn't done speaking out about his conviction yesterday. 34 felony counts in his New York hush money trial, the first time a former president was ever tried and convicted in a criminal case. He's scheduled to hold a news conference at 11 a.m. at Trump Tower. Last night, he attended a fundraiser with the campaign saying, "We're already back to the mission to save the nation." Their fundraising website crashed right after the verdict, but it's back up now. President Biden welcomes the Kansas City Chiefs to the White House today to celebrate their championship season and victory in the Super Bowl. He also meets with Belgium's Prime Minister Alexander De Croo at the White House. Arraignment on tap today for Jose Antonio Ibarra. He's the man accused of fatally beating nursing student Laken Riley on the campus of the University of Georgia in February. The case gained national attention after it was learned that Ibarra was in the U.S. illegally. I'm Sue Guzman on the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
Chinese dictator demands establishment of the state of Palestine and pledges $3 million to Hamas.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under Securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Hello, News Talk STL listeners. This is Marissa Jones with Jones Air and Water Treatment. The Jones family has taken care of your air and water for 29 years, and now we are expanding to take care of your overall nutrition and wellness, too. If you are looking to take the next step towards your nutrition goals, give us a call for your free nutrition consultation today, 636-899-1040, 636-899-1040, or go to joneswater.com. You can be a filter or you can buy a filter.
Looking for a cruise vacation? Cruise.com is offering its exclusive sale of the year to all listeners to this station. Every major cruise line, including Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Princess, MSC, and more, are on sale now. Call 1-800-507-9264 and book one of these deals while supplies last. Cruises start from as low as $39 per person per day. There isn't a better vacation value to places like Alaska, Europe, the Caribbean, South America, and more. Call one of the largest cruise specialists in the world at 1-800-507-9264. We'll find you a vacation that includes drinks, Wi-Fi, excursions, and more. Call 1-800-507-9264. That's 1-800-507-9264. Space is limited. Don't miss your opportunity to book the best deal of the year. That's 1-800-507-9264. Sponsored by Cruise.com.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, Are you feeling the impact of the recent changes in the timeshare industry? My friends at Lone Star Transfer are the only company I trust to help you. For more than a decade, they have successfully helped over 20,000 owners get out of their timeshare with an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau. Customer service is their priority. For a free consultation and a guaranteed solution, 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Friday, the unintended consequences of the Trump trial are staggering. More than 70 million Americans voted for Donald Trump in 2020, and I can't fathom that many of them are happy with the fiasco going on in New York City. So hatred among the citizenry will escalate as Americans sink deeper into their tribal compartments. I clearly remember the Obama-McCain and Obama-Romney campaigns. I was right in the middle of them. Passions were high, but bitterness was not. Now intense acrimony rules the land. President Biden is partially at fault. He could have asked his Justice Department and the Democratic Party to stand down on the Trump legal attacks. The former president made mistakes, but he is not a criminal. And trying to destroy him is a huge social indictment of Joe Biden. I mean, sending the unhinged Robert De Niro to politic at the Manhattan courthouse was one of the most craven presidential acts this historian has ever seen. The USA has been badly damaged by all the political hatred, no doubt about that, and it's not likely to end anytime soon. So at this point, President Biden should pardon Donald Trump of any and all charges leveled against him, just as Gerald Ford did with Nixon in the Watergate disaster. It may be Biden's last chance to save his legacy, and he doesn't even know it. Back after this. You can now watch new episodes of the No Spin News live on Samsung TV Plus. Tune in each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the First TV for breaking news, honest analysis, and the best election coverage in America. Please join me, Bill O'Reilly, at the First TV, now available on Samsung TV Plus. Start watching today on your Samsung television, Galaxy devices, or the Samsung TV Plus mobile app. Check out the No Spin News each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the First TV, Samsung TV Plus. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today. We'll see a high of 82 degrees. Rain then moves in this evening. Rain will be likely overnight with a few rumbles of thunder possible as we drop to 66. And Saturday, showers and thunderstorms likely, especially during the first half of the day, becoming a bit more scattered in the afternoon. Saturday's high 76. Sunday looks a little better, partly cloudy and dry, but warmer with a high of 85. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
Staff Sergeant Mark Anthony Madrid.
Staff Sergeant Samantha Cowell.
I'm Staff Sergeant
Alex.
Staff Sergeant William Lewis, and I am proud to defend my family and our nation.
The Air Force Reserve is part of the story of this great nation.
I'm grateful that I have a chance to wear the uniform of the heroes that went before me.
I'm proud to be part of a team that helps make a difference in the world.
Every day, men and women from communities across this nation serve as Reserve Citizen Airmen. Even as technology evolves and changes, our commitment to defend and protect this nation remains steadfast. We celebrate those who have served and those who are proudly serving. We celebrate our proud history and look towards an exciting and uniting future. Our mission is to fly, fight, and win in air, space, and cyberspace.
And I am proud to be a member.
And I'm proud to serve in the United States.
And I am proud to protect our country.
Proud to serve in the U.S. Air Force Reserve.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Let's get the day started right. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Well, we've got a decision to make today. How are we going to talk about what happened in that New York City
courtroom yesterday. So I've kind of been going over this in my head since we got the news of that verdict. And here's what I think. We're going to cover all the facts, obviously, tell you what the rulings are. We'll get the reaction from the different partisans out there. But the bottom line is, when you got that news, when you heard that news, when you saw it on your social media, when you heard it on the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show, how did you feel? How did you react to that? And now that you've had time to process it since yesterday afternoon, where are you now with that? What do you think? I mean, how do you feel about it? Let's talk throughout the morning. 314-912-1019. We're not going to stray too far from the Trump verdict. And we do have other things and other guests that we're going to talk about today, but don't worry. We're never going to go too far from that today, because this is such a precedent setting large event that happened, and that's not lost on me, regardless of whether you are a Trump supporter or not. So let's talk. 314-912-1019. Gabe, Stell, and I are also going to be looking for your comments on social media as well. So basically, St. Louis, let's have the conversation starting today and starting right here. All right, speaking of conversations, in the upcoming elections, we're going to be selecting new state lawmakers. Among them, in St. Louis County, we've got a race for state Senate that's shaping up. State Representative David Gregory is running for that 15th district seat, state Senate position, and he joined us on yesterday's program, gave us an outlook as to how he would approach the issues in representing St. Louis County in that seat if he's elected. And here's what he had to say.
Republican voters go to the primaries. They're going to tell the eventual state legislature, we want a state government that is more like this, whether it's more of a freedom caucus, whether it's more of a traditional conservative, whether it's more of a, more of that moderate or establishment one, or whatever it is. I mean, that's part of the discussion that's happening. What do you think voters are telling not just you, but other Republican candidates and the party around the state as to the direction of the Republicanism in Missouri, especially after such a rocky couple of legislative sessions?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and you're clearly dialed in on how it works. I mean, look, here's the deal. I've knocked, I don't even know how many doors, and my team, we're well over 40,000, and I can tell you it is a very clear message from conservatives. They're ticked off. Conservatives are ticked off. They're tired of the games, right? And that is exactly why I'm running. I can't stand politicians, probably more than you can't stand them, and I don't trust anyone more than myself to do the right thing. So that's why I'm running, and I'm running because we have got to get rid of these weak, soft, what I call squishy politicians that don't fight for what we want. We have a supermajority Republican majority, and we've got the governor's office too, and we haven't gotten done near what we should have gotten done. And voters are ticked, and that's exactly what they have to say, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing at the polls.
Let me follow up real quick, Gabe, because Gabe's got a question for you along those lines. The reason we didn't get stuff done is because of dysfunction within the Republican caucus. And we're seeing that break that we've seen in other states. I would argue between that, establishment Republican and the more conservative side of it. That's sometimes what happens when you have a supermajority is you split into factions here. And we're seeing that happening. How do we get that message that you're saying that you're getting from voters to the whole caucus to get these big red things done? I mean, we know what the problem is. How do we fix it?
Yeah, see, now that's the golden question. Again, you are dialed in on exactly what the issue is. And the problem is that everybody in my race, everybody in every primary Republican race, they're going to run and say they're the most conservative and they stand for all these things. But then they get elected, they go to the legislature and they don't. They literally reverse course. And that's what's frustrating. The good news is if we can just help educate our voters, take a little extra time to read up on these candidates. Take a little extra time, and I mean like 10 minutes, to see the types of things they used to do. It's hard to believe every mailer and every commercial, I understand, but if you can study it, look at the sources, you'll see the voting record of a lot of these candidates. Both of my candidates have voting records that are modest, moderate at best, and I hope the voters take a deeper look than just the surface value of what a politician promises. And they will see that that's not the moderate type of person we want.
Good morning, David. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So what I tend to ask candidates is about their priorities. What is that major thing that's at the top of your priority list that is your particular bugaboo that you're going to go fully gung-ho on if you manage to make it into the Senate?
Yeah, that's a great question. I get asked that a lot, and it is so hard to say one. I'll give you, if you'll allow me, I'll give you two or three top priorities that I'm. Yeah, so obviously illegal immigration is number one. We can't count on Biden to do anything, and I'll tell you what, the states can step up, and Missouri will step up when I'm in the Senate, and we can pass laws that make it illegal to be here as an illegal immigrant. We can pass laws that can allow legal detainment until either they're imported or properly vetted. That is a bill I've already drafted myself, and I'll be filing immediately when I get into the Senate. That's a big priority, number one. Number two, safety is huge. St. Louis is the economic engine of Missouri. It just is. There's no way around it. And we have sat back and allowed St. Louis to bleed for quite some time, and that is a huge problem. The number one effect of or cause of the bleeding is safety. And so in the Senate, I was on budget in the House, and I'm going to be on appropriates, hopefully, in the Senate. And I plan on funneling all kinds, hundreds of millions of dollars of resources to St. Louis and Kansas City to make sure that there is no doubt that we are safe. There's no doubt if a criminal is going to commit a crime, they're going to get caught, they're going to get locked up, and they're going to be prosecuted. That is another top priority.
We're visiting with State Representative David Gregory. So let me follow up on that. The money gets sent into, to St. Louis and to Kansas City, the two biggest problem spots. Not that there aren't other problem spots. Columbia's got a problem. Springfield's got a problem. I mean, we're even seeing some problems in the Boot Heel. But how do you, given the dereliction of duty we're seeing in the biggest cities in the state, how do we make sure that money gets used to make those parts of the state actually safer? Because the last thing we want to do is hand Tashara Jones and Megan Green hundreds of millions of dollars and say, go fix your city, because we've seen what they've done with the money they've got already.
That's exactly right. And that's why we'll use state resources for state resources in those areas, right? There's all kinds of ways. Number one, we can multiply our highway patrol troops, right? So we can have all kinds of troopers in every one of these dangerous counties that we're funding, and we can ensure that the jurisdiction, right, the prosecutorial jurisdiction of these special troopers goes to the Attorney General, right? So we just go right through them. We're going to go right around them, right through them, and we're going to make sure that, again, you're going to get caught, you're going to get locked up, and you're going to be prosecuted.
Towards the idea of trying to revitalize the St. Louis area and the state at large, what's your stance on dealing with the children in terms of education? What sort of things that are on your priority list in terms of in particular, school choice?
Oh, yeah. I mean, school choice is another issue I'm going to champion. Look, school choice is a wonderful thing for everyone. And as a matter of fact, I think school choice will make our public schools stronger too. When you can sit back, relax, not have to compete, not have to work hard, not worry about the stats and the rankings because, oh, well, I get the same amount of money every year. That's a problem. Everybody loses. The teachers lose, the students lose, the parents lose. Everybody loses when these administrators become fat cats. When we create competition, organic competition, and we drive and incentivize these people to dominate, to do better, to work harder for our students, everybody wins. And that is exactly what this is going to do. I am super excited about that because it's going to happen. It's going to happen in the next 4 to 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Philadelphia studies from 3-4 years ago, just by adding charter schools, the performance of the public schools went up just with a little bit of competition. And that was even within the public school realm. We're visiting with State Representative David Gregory. Talk about spending in the budget here a little bit. Obviously, I don't think the economy is going to struggle for a little bit, regardless of who wins the presidential race here. It was the state house that had to cut back a lot of the proposed spending, but we still got the biggest, if not one of the biggest, state spending packages. I mean, the ballooning of state spending is just growing government like crazy, even with the Republican supermajority. So what's the responsible way to keep spending in check and still meet the basic needs that we need to have? Because we do have a highway and bridge system that still has to be rebuilt in a lot of areas in suburban and in rural parts of the state.
God, that's another great question. And I can tell you the answer is actually keeping it simpler than you think, right? Not spending beyond our means. We don't, just because you have money, you don't have to spend it. Okay, one of the things we did in the House is that, imagine this novel idea. Give it back to the taxpayers who paid it. Imagine that, right? We don't have to spend it, number one. Number two, roads, bridges, very important. And you know what? We have the money. We have it. We don't need to increase taxes. What we need to do is get more efficient. Right now, we have never pressured our bureaucrats, our directors and departments. We've never pressured them to come to us with a plan for a 5 to 10% cut. You know what, Mr. Director? You're getting paid six figures. Come up with a 10% cut plan. Don't come to me for more money. Come to me for less money, and you're going to come up with a plan. And here's the deal. If you don't do it, you're fired. You know, like the big boy world, the business world, you're fired. If you can't come up with a plan to cut 5 to 10% of your own budget to become more efficient, to become stronger with less, you don't deserve the six-figure job. Get out. That's what I would be doing.
Now, on the other side of the equation, we have taxes, right? So I definitely want to know your stance on the various taxes that we have in the state of Missouri.
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, I hate all taxes under all conditions. That's number one. But yes, the personal property tax, in my opinion, is unconstitutional. I'm an attorney. I've looked into it. I believe it to be unconstitutional. It's double taxation. I would get rid of personal property tax immediately, and I will be fighting for that. That's number one. Number two, you mentioned the real estate taxes. Obviously, real estate taxes, I think for seniors, have to be frozen, right? And that's another frustration I've seen, particularly with one of my opponents. The county council's weak, right? The state gave the keys to the car on helping our seniors freeze their taxes, right? These seniors, they're not asking for anything. They're not asking even for lower taxes. They're asking that it doesn't continue to go up while they're on fixed income, while they've been paying taxes for 40, 50, 60 years, some of them. That's not much of an ask. And for our county council to come in and say, well, we're only going to do it for some homes, and we're only going to do it for a few years. We're not going to do it permanently. That's a complete joke. Our seniors deserve a complete permanent tax freeze. And you know what? Every one of them deserve a tax freeze, not just some of them. Our seniors have built this. They are the foundation of this, of St. Louis, and they deserve a tax freeze. So I'm going to be fighting hard for a permanent tax freeze for all seniors, and it's actually going pretty well. Representative Ben Keithley had a bill that passed. Hopefully the governor signs it, at which point we're going to have to force St. Louis County to actually implement the law, which is a big part of my lawsuit. I've sued Sam Page and the county to force them to do their job. So that's going very well as well.
Whenever I hear Sam Page is getting sued, I get the warm fuzzies. I just want to point that out.
You did perk up there for a minute.
I did. I love it when I hear when Sam Page is getting sued. I'm all about it because he has a losing record on things like that. Well, that comes with being wrong. All right, David, we're a little bit over time here, but do you mind if I do a quick, maybe a rapid fire on a couple different things so people get a feel for where you're coming from? Then we'll give out the website information. But if you could just very quickly describe where you're coming from when somebody says Second Amendment and firearms and gun rights.
Oh, yeah. Second Amendment must be protected. Absolutely. Absolutely. No qualms about it.
Okay. Pro-life.
Am I allowed to go?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Yep.
I'm trying to be quick.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be quick. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say the next one would be, where are you when it comes to life choice, abortion, things like that?
Oh, I'm 100% pro-life. I've been endorsed by Right to Life in every election I've ever run, and there's a reason for that. I've always stood for it, and it is a non-negotiable.
Okay. And when it comes to state incentives for economic development, what's the smart approach to that in a nutshell? If there is a smart approach to that in a nutshell.
Yeah, there is a smart approach. The smart approach is you don't provide the incentive. You don't provide the monetary benefit until it's proven to have had the return that you expected. You don't give them the money hoping for the return. You can provide the money once they've proven the return through receipts, et cetera, et cetera.
All right, let's get things going with the morning news dump in just a minute or so. And Stell and Gabe and I are still looking at all of your comments on social media. The big question, how do you feel now that Donald Trump has been convicted of 34 felonies in New York City? How does that affect you? How did that hit you? Let's talk about that throughout the morning right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
All right, the word out of New York, guilty 34 times. That's at least what the New York court says, at least. That's obviously dominating the conversation throughout the country today. And so what I want to do is, I was just saying a little bit ago before we replayed that conversation with David Gregory. Listen, I want to know what you think. There's going to be pundits all over the region and all over the country telling you what to think. I want to know what you think. You don't need me to tell you what to think. Let's just have that conversation this morning. I think it's the best thing we can do. So
I wonder if folks will remember where they were when they first heard it, because I will remember where I was when I first heard it.
Let's get into that too in just a little bit as well, because I actually had that thought as well. Is two questions. How did you react when you heard the news of the verdict? And then after you've had some time to process it, where are you now with it? So I just want to yes, I have a little bit of an outline of the show, which I always do, but I'm just going to open it up. Open it up. Let's talk here, St. Louis. Also in the news, dude, the judge says they can keep taxing your stash, man.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Shaggy. All right. Cardinal Red and Battlehawks Blue both are in the spotlight this weekend. It is 5:54. I'm Mike. That is Stell. All right. Obviously, you've heard the news now. Guilty on all 34 counts. That is the word from the jury in New York City against former President Donald Trump. Here's just part of his reaction to that verdict.
This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent, And I think it's just a disgrace.
Okay, 314-912-1019. That's the number to call. I think we're going to talk to Paul Curtman here in just a little bit, get his take on this, and especially right around 620. It's going to be a pseudo open line just kind of all day long, but I'm also going to be looking at the Rumble chat box. Stell and Gabe are going to be looking at the Facebook comments. You can tweet at us. Bottom line is that this is not a conversation of three of us here in the studio. This is St. Louis. Let's talk about this. Okay, another judge in Missouri rules that cannabis customers can be double taxed. At least when it comes to sales tax, it's technically triple taxed. The case is in Buchanan County in northwest Missouri, where both that county and the city of St. Joseph imposed a sales tax on marijuana products per the Amendment 3 regulations, or the Amendment 3 allowances, I should say. Now, the case is similar to the one in St. Louis County, where the judge also ruled that both the city and the county can stack those sales taxes, and that's all in addition to the state sales tax imposed by Amendment 3, which voters approved and legalized recreational pot. The overall question is certain to be decided by the Missouri Supreme Court down the road.
Boy, that's taxing just trying to keep up with all that.
It is. Boom. There it is. Okay, here's something I didn't think I'd be warning you about when I began my illustrious broadcasting career a long time ago, and we can question the illustrious part. Watch out for armadillos. Man, over the years, the critters have slowly migrated up to this part of the country. I mean, that's happened in about the last 20 years or so. Now, the Missouri Department of Conservation says armadillo sightings, including along roads and highways, are going to be more common, and they are more common right now as the weather gets warmer this time of year. And right now, since insects are among their main diet, and the plethora of cicadas around here, I mean, to an armadillo, that's like a buffet to Lizzo.
It really is.
So they are up this way to get those cicadas, and that means that there could be armadillos all over the place. We're seeing dead armadillos, especially along 44 right now.
Definitely. It's roadkill everywhere. And out in Washington, headline in the paper last week, Armadillo Armada invades Washington.
And they will, I don't care what you drive, they will jack up your car.
Yes.
They will really, this isn't like hitting a squirrel. This isn't like hitting a possum.
Or a raccoon.
Yeah, no, they will mess up your car. So be really careful of those. All right, you don't typically think about football when you grab your fast food, but Battlehawks fans can meet some of the players this afternoon at Mickey D's, of all places. Travis Feeney, Freedom, Aiken Muladum, and Jared Jones-Smith will be signing autographs. They'll be taking pictures, maybe grabbing one of your French fries at the McDonald's on Olive Boulevard in Creve Coeur this afternoon, a little after 5 o'clock. All right. Also, the Cardinals road trip continues this afternoon. They start a series with the Phillies. The first pitch is at 5:40. Miles Michaelis gets the start for this one. Now, because the Cubs lost yesterday, the Cardinals were off today for a travel day, and then the Cubs lost. The Redbirds are now in sole possession of second place in the NL Central. They are 5 games behind the Brewers.
Brewers beat the Cubs.
Yes.
Yesterday.
And did you see that report that Paul Goldschmidt texted Adam Wainwright last couple of days?
I did hear about that.
All he said was, we're going to win the division.
That's the attitude to have.
Yep. So they're fired up. All right. We're going to talk to Paul Curtman just ahead. Let's get going with that conversation on the Trump verdicts.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Attention farmers. Is your material handling equipment coming up short in your operation? A JCB TM Series telescopic wheel loader from Sievers JCB can take your productivity to new heights. Bucket capacities range from 1 yard to 4 yards and lift heights up to 18 feet. Don't miss out on special short-term lease options and put JCB TM productivity to work on your farm for under $3,000 per month. To schedule your on-farm demo, call or visit SieversJCB.com today.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Although he's been convicted of all 34 felony counts in his New York criminal trial, former President Trump says the ultimate verdict, the most important one, has yet to be rendered.
The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
And we'll hear more from Mr. Trump in just a few hours. White House correspondent Greg Clugston in New York.
The former president will make public statements at Trump Tower following yesterday's unanimous guilty verdict by 12 jurors in his criminal trial. He already expressed his feelings when he left the courtroom.
We will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over.
Trump maintained that he's a very innocent man and rallied supporters in online fundraising appeals last night with the vow to never surrender. Greg Clugston, New York.
It does not appear the verdict will change many minds among Trump supporters and detractors.
I hope this turns the tide and more people realize that he should not be allowed to be president again.
I have real reservations on voting for a convicted felon, but I don't believe he's a convicted felon. I believe it'll be overturned. I believe the charges brought against him were misdemeanors and should have been pursued as such, but was not. And there's nothing I can do about that. But of the choices I have available to me, he will be my vote.
The Biden team's response, no one is above the law. Mr. Trump denounces what he says was a sham trial presided over by a partisan judge, one of the most Democrat-friendly parts of the country. In Minneapolis, police say an officer has been killed. Police say it was an ambush. Alabama executing a man who was convicted of killing an elderly couple in their home back in 2004. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures down 58 points. NASDAQ futures off 96 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-504-8790. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-504-8790. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-504-8790.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center, may not be available in all states.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today. We'll see a high of 82 degrees. Rain then moves in this evening. Rain will be likely overnight with a few rumbles of thunder possible as we drop to 66. And Saturday, showers and thunderstorms likely, especially during the first half of the day, becoming a bit more scattered in the afternoon. Saturday's high 76. Sunday looks a little better, partly cloudy and dry, but warmer with a high of 85. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, Columbo here for the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Summertime in St. Louis means things like family gatherings, barbecues, and graduation parties, and Zero Res knows how important it is to have your home as clean and healthy as possible for your friends and family, so they're kicking off summer with an amazing offer. Book a cleaning in June and mention the Columbo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. Just mention the Columbo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
So we finally got the parts for the time machine. Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks. Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa. 90s new country streaming now. So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
It's Friday.
All right, the verdict is in. Were you surprised?
That's a good question.
Yeah. So we're gonna. That's just part of what we're going to talk about here today. By the way, we're already getting a lot of people, ready to sound off. Buckley, thank you so much for your comments on Rumble. Going to get to those here in a little bit. Rebecca, I see yours. All right, Blues Nut. Hey, good morning. I'm looking at the Rumble chat box here. Don't forget, News Talk STL. We've got a great event coming up on June 25th called Saving America 2024. We are teaming up with the Heritage Foundation. Joel Griffith and Zach Smith, two of their really kind of rising stars when it comes to public policy and research. They're going to be in town. We're going to be at the Funny Bone, and it's a free event talking about Saving America 2024, the economy, and the courts. And boy, the courts are in the news right now.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Now, we would love to have you there with us on the 25th, but it is a free event, but you do need some tickets because there's only limited space. So go to newstalkstl.com, learn more about the event, and reserve your tickets, and we would love to see you there. Okay, here's what I'm doing today with this, because obviously when you talk about how big of a news story this is with the verdicts against Donald Trump, 34 verdicts against Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Guilty verdicts against Donald Trump. I was thinking last night, I'm thinking this morning, how are we going to do this? And here's what I've decided. Stel, Gabe, I've decided that this is not about Stel and Gabe and Mike today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, St. Louis, or those of you around the country, because we've got a lot of people around the country that check in on us on social media. This is one big conversation. We are at the big proverbial coffee shop today, and your say and your reaction and your feelings, because there's a lot of people who are actually taking this personally.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are talking about what it means to the election. A lot of people talking about, what it means to the justice process. So there's just about 100 different angles, if you will. And I've just decided that I am not that important to get to decide which angles are the most important. You do. So 314-912-1019. I've got Paul Kurtman, former Missouri State Representative, on the line now with us here. And Paul, first of all, great to chat with you. Man, are we getting, obviously, a lot of people having a lot of very raw emotions over the verdict with Donald Trump, the guilty verdicts. Some people are angry because of what this says about the justice system, the criminal justice system. Some people are angry about it for the political reason. Some people are just very simply loyal to Donald Trump. When you got the news of the guilty verdicts against Donald Trump, what was the first thing you thought about when you heard that?
Hey, good morning, guys. The first thing I thought about was I remember calling this at News Talk STL little over a year ago when they first raided Mar-a-Lago. And I had a conversation on air with Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick. And the discussion was, they're not going to actually put him in jail, are they? And I remember saying in the studio in downtown St. Louis, that's exactly what they want. This with Donald Trump, it has been so bad with this man that it's never been just about scaring people during election season, not just about the hype around our candidate's better than yours because your guy has done X, Y, and Z. They want to go all the way, and they want a perp walk. I remember playing the clip. I remember hearing maybe you and Tim Jones and others at News Talk STL playing a montage of all these pundits on television and on mainstream media just giddy with joy when they found out that there was a SWAT team outside Mar-a-Lago and that they were raiding President Trump's office and home. And they were talking about how they can't wait to see him in handcuffs, and they're making jokes about seeing him in an orange man in an orange jumpsuit. And this is exactly where they want to go. And let's not remember, this is 34 counts in New York, but he's still facing 2 other cases in Washington, D.C. and in Fulton County, Georgia. And this is absolutely a personal issue because the far left, it has something personal against people like Donald Trump and everybody else who wants to see the American people put first before we start sending foreign aid to everybody around the world, before we open up our borders and just let anybody and everybody come through. I mean, this is incredibly personal because Donald Trump, for the first time in a long time, has stood up and he's been okay with being hated as he has tried to push back against these leftists and these totalitarian progressives. This is absolutely personal. And I really don't believe that the left actually realizes what they have done here and how dangerous this is actually going to be for the American people and for America moving forward. Or maybe they do realize it. Maybe it's part of their plan. And I'm not saying that there's this huge conspiracy, but what I'm saying is that there's a lot of people on the left whose interests align with what's going on with Donald Trump. And it is a personal issue with a lot of the American people who for too long have seen the establishment swamp do everything from just enrich themselves off the backs of taxpayers, doing everything from insider trading to giving themselves and their own families subsidies and omnibus bills that they're passing in Washington, D.C., to bailing out all these student loans that you have people working hard to pay for just to pay for themselves and their own kids to go to college and not have to pay for other kids. You see all this transgenderism being pushed down the throats of people in schools, and you see American citizens being called terrorists inside FBI memos, all coming from the far left. And then you have somebody like Donald Trump stand up, push back, and what do they do with him? They come for him in the courts and they weaponize the judicial system against the American people. And they're trying to bully all of us right back into our corners, right back into being quiet. And they have completely missed the target on exactly who the American people are. And so are people taking it personal? They are taking it personal. And there's concerns here, but I think people are going to respond in a very personal way. And we've never seen this happen in America before. And I fear for my country because of what's happened just over the last few days and how the American people are going to respond and react to it.
Morning, Paul. Gabe here. And speaking of the reactions, we're seeing a lot of different reactions on Twitter, including people who were declaring themselves former Hillary Clinton supporters who are now throwing their hat behind Donald Trump. A lot of independents saying, "Hey, look, this is such an affront. I'm going this way." Do you think there are going to, or what do you think the electoral consequences are going to be of this, or campaign consequences, or is this eventually going to backfire on the Democrats in some way, shape, or form?
Well, so you brought up two different issues here, Gabe. One, what is the campaign consequences?
Right.
What's the electoral consequences? Listen, if the election was taken today, and you're absolutely right. As I'm scrolling through Twitter yesterday, I follow a lot of non-political accounts, people that are huge influencers, everything from the art world to the finance world. And I'm seeing post after post, people coming out and saying, I never get political. This page or this Twitter account is about X, Y, or Z, but I just made a contribution to the Donald Trump reelection campaign fund. And I think that we're going to see more and more of that. I think the independents, people who are truly independent, are getting terrified when they see that, hey, if you're not playing ball with the left, then you're on their hit list. You're going to be one of their targets. And so there's an electoral consequence here, and I think there's going to be a blowback that the left probably wasn't anticipating. And so I think if the election was held today, Donald Trump would 100% win in a landslide. The other thing you talked about, though, is the campaign consequence. Well, in many states and in many places, if you are a convicted felon, you would lose your right to vote. You would lose your ability to get on a ballot. So don't think that this ends with just, hey, he's a convicted felon, but we're gonna get him in November. There's gonna be a domino effect here, and there's gonna be issues with him being on the ballot now in states across the country. And this is gonna be something that people take up on the left as one of the reasons to make sure that nobody can vote for him because he's not even on any of the ballots. So if the election was held today, win in a landslide. But the fight is not over. There's going to be a lot that happens between now and November as to whether or not he's going to be on ballots in states. That's what I believe is going to happen. I think that this is just the beginning. This is the trigger that sets a whole other string of events into motion.
Good morning, Paul. Stell here. With your experience in the Middle East, if I can switch gears for a moment, what are your thoughts regarding another administration debacle as the Gaza pier collapses and the U.S. wastes another $320 million for a pier that lasted 1 week? What are your thoughts about that?
We'll probably spend the money to do something about it, Stell, but we're probably not going to spend the money as quickly as we've been able to and been willing to spend the money in Ukraine. I think as we get closer to the election, I tell you what, this is just so bizarre. Let me back up a second. When I was in the Marine Corps and I was an infantryman, and one of the things that I learned about battle is, if at all possible, you want to have the battle on territory or on terrain that you pick, because you want to use it to your advantage. It's kind of like in the sports world, right? You have the home court advantage. You want to be able to have a battle on terrain that you're familiar with, that you know, that you can manipulate so you can get the upper hand. I do not understand any of the logic from the left right now, because they have created a quagmire for themselves where Israel's concerned. And whether it's spending money on a pier or Ukraine, or then trying to figure out exactly where the progressives are going to stand with Israel, because they certainly don't want Donald Trump to win, they have created such a quagmire for themselves. It's almost like if they were going to pick the terrain that they wanted to do battle on, they have chosen the most muckiest, quicksand-filled, murkiest, darkest, swampiest waters to do battle, because it seems like everything they do is very short-sighted and they're not looking at the long-term effects. So to kind of get back to your question a little bit, I think that President Joe Biden is going to have a real struggle trying to justify why he wants to spend more money on this failed pier when he has a whole bunch of leftist progressives behind him saying drop support for Israel. And we're doing all of this headed into an election in which people have just been galvanized, the likes of which we've never seen, where the other candidate, Donald Trump, is concerned.
Okay, but to be fair, Joe Biden's going to have trouble justifying and describing what happened on the episode of Matlock he just
That's true. Yeah, that's true. So which is also crazy, Mike, because this brings an entertainment value like we've never seen before to politics, in a very sad way. But to your point, I mean, oh my God, there's got to be some ancient allegory that describes what it's like to have two people go to battle against each other when one is a complete incoherent versus somebody else who is like sharp as a tack, cutthroat style warrior. But that's like what we're facing. That's what we see happening.
All right. And Paul, normally we talk economic stuff with you. Obviously that's all being overshadowed by these other headlines, so appreciate the perspective. We're going to start turning it over to the audience here in a few minutes as well. So Paul, appreciate you being on. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
All right. 314-912-1019. I am already sorting through the comments on the chat box on Rumble. Gabe and Stell are going to watch the comments on Facebook and Twitter as well. Let's just talk about it. Let's have this conversation. What was your reaction when you first heard the news? And guys, I'm going to start there, with you. When you saw it, I'm not going to ask you to assess what it means or where we're going from here. Let's start with, you heard the news. What was your reaction? And we'll start there right around 622, but the phone lines are open right now. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, it's Columbo for Capriotti's Sandwich Shop. Capriotti's is famous for setting themselves apart due to their dedication to superior quality and ingredients like slow-roasted, hand-pulled whole turkey and American Wagyu straight from Snake River Farms. That dedication to superior quality is evident from the very first bite into a Capriotti sandwich. Visit Capriotti Sandwich Shop 7 days a week at the corner of Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill and get more info, including how to impress at your next event with their great catering at capriottis.com.
Never paint again. This is Darren, owner of Rhino Shield. Want to eliminate painting your home, business, or church? Call the experts at Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary ceramic wall coating to regular paint and vinyl. Perfect for aluminum, steel, unpainted brick, block, stucco, EIFS, drive-it, cement board, and wood sidings. Rhino Shield eliminates wasting time and money painting year after year. Our ceramic coating deflects 90% of the sun's UV rays and 100% of the moisture. Our clients want affordable protection with the elimination of maintenance. Rhino Shield protects your biggest investment while maintaining your architectural features and gives you the curb appeal you deserve. Make your home great again by working with the Rhino Shield experts. A+ rated with the BBB. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. The 80s.
Bueller. The 80s.
Let's go while we're young. Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
Throwing it all away.
Yeah.
Genesis. It's a great song.
Great memories of this one. This album had a ton of hits on it. Invisible
Touch, that's right. Yeah. If I were in the car by myself, I'd be tempted to sing, but because people are listening and you guys are my friends, I'm not going to sing. All right. Man, we got a lot of Flashback Friday requests this week.
We did.
A lot of them. So thank you all very much.
It was tough to narrow it down, but somehow we did it.
This is a great request. I haven't heard this. I haven't thought about this song in forever. All right. How does the news of the Trump verdict hit you? As I was planning, what we're going to do today, I just decided to step back and say, let's just talk. I mean, Gabe got in. He goes, all right, what are we doing?
Right. Yeah.
How are we doing this?
Here we go.
And I said, here's how I want to do this. We're at the big virtual proverbial coffee shop booth right now. Cafe News Talk STL. Stell's sitting there. Gabe's sitting there. I'm sitting there. I got my coffee. Gabe's got his coffee. You got your coffee over there? Come on, sit down. Let's talk.
I need a muffin. I need a muffin, by
there
the way.
You go. Vent, celebrate, assess, whatever it is that you're feeling. And listen, if you disagree, the majority of people who are going to be calling in and commenting, obviously very angry about what's happening. Some people scared about what's happening. I know there's some people who are celebrating. Listen, if you're willing to have the conversation and, not go crazy, get me in trouble with the FCC, listen, you can be part of it too. Most people are going to disagree with you. But I'm not afraid of the conversation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So 314-912-1019. I'm going to start reading some of these comments off of the Rumble chat box here in just a minute. Don't forget, News Talk STL, our weekend programming. We are number one for live and local conservative talk all weekend long. There's a reason for that. Stand and Fight with Senator Nick Schroer is one of those reasons. He's on Sunday evening from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And when they say Stand and Fight, when they name that show with Nick, I think the emphasis is on fight.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Just saying. All right. Let me do a couple things here. I'm going to read one or two of these comments from the Rumble chat box, and then just give me the signal when you see something on the other platforms. Let me just go ahead and play. This is part of the comments from District Attorney Alvin Bragg right after the verdicts came in.
While this defendant may be unlike any other in American history, we arrived at this trial and ultimately today at this verdict in the same manner as every other case that comes through the courtroom doors, by following the facts and the law.
All right.
Okay.
I got a big problem with Mr.
Yeah,
Bragg.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Soros-supported
The
Bragg.
facts and the law. All right.
Yeah, I see.
Mhm.
I've got a bunch of sound bites in reaction here. Do we want to hear Jim Jordan or Ted Cruz? Who you guys pick real quick?
Let's go with Jim Jordan.
Jim Jordan. Okay, Jim Jordan. Here's Congressman Jim Jordan, who was on Hannity last night on Fox.
That day, we, the people, will decide who's going to win, who's going to be our president, not some partisan judge, not some political prosecutor, not 12 people from Manhattan, but we, the people, 330 million of us get to decide on that day.
All right, a couple comments here, and then around the room, guys. I'm going to ask
Mhm.
you, how did you react when you heard the news here? Jay Monty says this is where democracy ends, not with the sound of gunfire, but the sound of a gavel.
Mm.
But then he also goes on to say, let me scroll down a little bit because I thought it was something very interesting that he said here. He said, as far as how it hits me, life goes on. I will spend my Friday as normal. Oh, so many comments are coming in. I got to keep up with here.
Yeah.
Nothing changes personally. I actually get that.
Mhm.
Laura says, pissed, but even more determined to save America. Trump 24. We didn't start the fire. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. A lot of others in there. I'm going to get to as many as I can. Okay. So, Gabe, let me start with you. This happened, what, 4 or 5 o'clock yesterday around that time here. So, you hear the news
Mhm.
and what?
And I feel like George Taylor at the end of the Planet of the Apes, you maniacs, you blew it up. That's kind of how I feel about the what happened in the justice system in New York. New York's my home state. So, it kind of hits a little close to home in that regard. I guess I kind of expected it, I guess, which is the other thing. In the back of my head, I was like, they totally rigged this whole situation. You saw the setup. You saw, they refused the venue changes. They wanted to stack the jury. They want the judges compromised and going after him at every turn. And then of course the charges themselves make no sense. Because it's a whole cobbled together mess. People even on the left were already admitting that this is a cobbled together mess that probably shouldn't ended a guilty verdict, and yet here we are. So in that regard, I'm just like, well, they're making their bed here, and I'm trying to be hopeful for the future that people will respond similarly to me to realize what's happening.
I pulled up at a coffee shop in Eureka just to get my usual mocha frappe on the way home, which I do maybe a couple days a week. And as I pulled in and I'm getting out of the car, all of a sudden the text shows up that says the jury has it's come to a final decision. And I realized, wait a minute, we're only here in the afternoon. And like you had mentioned, Mike, earlier, a quicker decision. And Susie Moore had mentioned this also.
So Susie called this to the T.
Mhm.
Yeah. So a quick decision would probably go against Trump, and who knows if it would be totally across the board with convictions on all counts, or what it would be. And sure enough, that's what it was. That's always going to stick in my mind. I'm going to remember exactly where I was when that happened, just like with other incidents. And I'm going back to JFK being shot, and I'm in my 6th grade class, and I remember everything that happened that day. It's going to be sort of like that. And the other aspect that really hit me was, the Washington Compost likes to make a big deal about democracy dies in darkness. And my first thought was, well, democracy died in that courtroom. And as far as I was concerned, we've become a banana republic. And I know I've kind of mentioned that off and on over the past few months, that this is where our nation is going. I think it was solidified yesterday, and that hurts. I don't want to see this.
I was actually still here when we got the word that the jury had returned a verdict, which is really unusual. I usually, I get in about 3:30 or so, and I try to be gone by about noon or 1 o'clock, something like that. So I was actually still here because I had a few other things I had to do.
For me to say goodbye to you.
Yeah, when you left before I did.
That's unusual.
Yeah. And so I remembered what Susie said when she said, if the verdict comes back today, meaning yesterday, that it almost certainly means at least one guilty. And so I was leaving. I was heading back to my house. I'm like, you know what? That's probably what it is. I'm just going to, do what I normally do. And my phone started buzzing. Those text messages start coming in on the way back to my house, which no, I did not look at them while I was driving.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I think I know what happened. I got to the house, immediately opened up the text, looked at the new. Yep. That's what the verdict was. And so my first thought on this was we're going to be even more divided and tribal. And I just hope that we settle it at the ballot box instead of through violence and through some other means like that. And so that was my first reaction, is what I think is going to be the bigger picture, because there's a lot of people I'm seeing, and I'm just reading through the comments, and I had a lot of people texting me, what did you think? Can you believe this? All this sort of thing. Were you surprised? I was not surprised. And a lot of people expressing everything from fury to fear, to giving up. I had a friend of mine yesterday, and he told me, he goes, you can say this on the air if you want. I'm not saying his name. He said, I've never owned a gun in my life. He said, but I'm going to be exercising my Second Amendment rights this weekend, and I'm going to be buying a gun. Okay. I don't think we're going to have riots in the streets or anything like that.
Right.
But that's what he's saying. I've got another friend who's a federal judge, and he was a federal prosecutor before that. And he had a different take on it. And of course, I walked into the conversation because, a lot of my friends know if I'm not at work, I'm trying to do other stuff.
Trying to be off the clock.
Trying to be off the clock. I've got to decompress too, but you just can't really get away from this. And I'm asking, or he brought it up to me actually. And I said, well, what do you make of all this? Because I said, when you were a federal prosecutor, what would you make of this? And he said, when I was a prosecutor, he said, from a prosecutor's perspective, he said, I would have never brought this case.
Right.
He said, I just wouldn't have. He said, there's not enough there. He said, now, having said that, he said, as a federal judge, he said, based on the instructions of the judge, he thought the prosecutors met the standard that the judge put out there.
Interesting.
But he said, I would have never brought it in the first place. He goes, this isn't something that should have gotten to this level of this. So, that's really, because I don't know what his politics are. I don't want to know.
Sure.
And he's very careful to not give that out. He just gave me his legal assessment based on what was there. So essentially he was saying this case shouldn't have been brought, but when they did bring it and they set those rules, well, that was the outcome that he would have expected from a legal perspective. He wasn't arguing it was right or wrong. He was just arguing that's the process that he saw. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I had this interview lined up with Everett Piper he's an author. He's one of the columnists of the Washington Times. It's not about the Trump stuff. But it's really interesting. The question comes up because he wrote this op-ed about a week ago where he's saying, hey, parents, when something goes rough in your kid's life, stop sending them to therapy. Stop hiring a counselor.
Yeah.
And he's saying, step up. And I really want to talk about that. So here's what we're doing. I'm going to talk to Everett. Okay. Gabe, Stell, you guys watch those social media comments, and let's start collecting those. And we're going to do a lot of interactive stuff. If you're on Facebook or YouTube or Rumble or anything like that. And then we've got the news dump that's coming up at 6:50, including we're going right back. And if you've got some thoughts on this and you want to give us your voice on that, we can work that in while we're talking about some of the news around 6:50. And then at 7:05, Tim Jones, obviously our afternoon host here. But remember, Tim was a prosecutor in the state of New York when he was beginning his career.
Yeah.
He's a lawyer.
He's still licensed there.
I think he is. Yeah. He's so we're going to hear from Tim, not just as a former legislator, not just as a media personality, but as somebody who has practiced law and prosecuted people in that actual state. So Tim's got a perspective on that. So that's what's coming ahead next little bit, and a constant conversation going on online as well. This is about your take on this. This is about your reaction. This is about what you think today. My opinion is no better, no worse than yours or anybody else's. Let's get them going, because I think we need to have the conversations in a smart way. And I'm not slamming anybody today on this. I get where you're coming from on it. I get it. I hear you. I understand. So let's do that just ahead here. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today. We'll see a high of 82 degrees. Rain then moves in this evening. Rain will be likely overnight with a few rumbles of thunder possible as we drop to 66. And Saturday, showers and thunderstorms likely, especially during the first half of the day, becoming a bit more scattered in the afternoon. Saturday's high 76. Sunday looks a little better, partly cloudy and dry, but warmer with a high of 85. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michaels Flooring Outlet. Michaels Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michaels to rip up their old carpet and replace it. They are both happy with the product and installation from Michaels. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
The headlines remind us daily the world is a dangerous place. The elites in charge say everything's fine. Stop noticing. But you know better. And your gut knows that time is short to prepare for a world that is 4 missed meals away from chaos. My Patriot Supply has helped over 3 million families become more self-reliant and is the company Americans trust to prepare. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits. Each contain delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Secure at least 1 food kit for each family member. For a limited time, save $200, plus get free shipping on all their Ready Hour 3-month emergency food kits. You're not ready if it's not Ready Hour Foods. My Patriot Supply also has solar power generators, water filtration units, biomass stoves, heirloom seeds, and critical survival gear. Shop mypatriotsupply.com today. mypatriotsupply.com.
Hello, fans of the paranormal. I'm Frankie, host of the newest show on News Talk STL on a Garage, and we'll be discussing everything paranormal, from ghosts, demons, hauntings, and aliens to Skinwalker, Bigfoot, fairies, and the Chupacabra. Every Saturday night between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., me and Jeremy will discuss mysterious events in St. Louis and surrounding areas, including gateway families and unsolved true crimes. That's right. It's all right here exclusively on News Talk STL from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Saturday night.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Whatever happens in this Donald Trump trial with the deliberations and all that, we'll find out why and how it happened with Susie Moore Friday at 10:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
It's Friday!
The 80s. Never been a decade like it, never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
All you got is this moment. 21st century's yesterday. You can care all you want. Everybody does, yeah, that's okay, yeah. So slide over here and give me a moment. Your moves are so raw. I've got to let you know. I've got to let you know. You're one of my kind.
Is there a shift in thinking that's coming when it comes to the resources we give to young people? And I say that because I found an article. Well, it was really kind of a answer to a question in the Washington Times by Dr. Everett Piper, who's been on the show before, and he joins me right now. And it was part of your Ask Dr. E series. And Everett, appreciate you being back on the program here. And when I saw the headline, should parents use therapists to help children adjust to life's challenges? I immediately thought, Everett, ooh, that's going to be a spicy response no matter what your answer is. And it was, because in a nutshell, and I would encourage people to go to WashingtonTimes.com to find this for themselves. Your answer was no. You said, I'm going to be very blunt. The answer is no. The current trend of hiring therapists to help children with everyday challenges is unhealthy. And I know you've had to have reactions from a variety of perspectives on this, but let's start with the basis on this, which is you're not criticizing the availability of therapy overall. You're talking about it being overused, if anything.
Yes, I am. And just as context here, I have degrees in this stuff, and I'm not trying to put my sheepskin on the wall and boast here, but my academic background, my professional training is in human development theory and psychology and pedagogy, andragogy, education, and moral development. So I get this stuff. I understand it. It is my industry. And I think people within an industry are obligated and responsible for calling it out if it's going down the wrong path. And I would argue that over use of therapy in today's rearing of children is unhealthy. And my reason for saying that is a lot of the theory behind psychology and counseling and therapy today, in my view, as a guy from the inside, I would say a lot of the theory is garbage. It's just garbage. It's narcissistic, it's self-focused, it is self-congratulatory, it is the elevation of the individual over and above all of the rest of culture. It is the constant navel gazing of our day and time. It's what Carl Truman calls the rise and triumph of the modern self. You're the parent, you're the dad, you're the mom, and I don't believe you should farm out raising your children to the professional therapist. Now, I'm not saying there isn't a time when you shouldn't partner with or should partner with a professional. In extreme situations, there may be a time to do that. But even then, I would argue, make sure you know who that professional is and make sure you know what their theory of life and their theory of child rearing is. And make sure they agree with you and that they're partnering with you as a parent to raise your child, to train up a child in the way he should go so that when he is old, he will not depart, to use biblical language. Bottom line, my answer to this question is no, you shouldn't be farming out everyday parenting to the professional therapist. Number one, because it's your job. And number two, most of these parents that are relying on the professional don't take the time to figure out what the professional's worldview is and whether or not it agrees with them, the mother and father. I don't want to send my son off to some therapist who's going to be contradicting me every step of the way in terms of the morals and the values and the important ideas that I want my child to hold dear as he becomes an adult.
See, there's going to be a lot of people really shocked to hear you say that, especially with your educational background, with your professional background. They're going to say, but I've been told all my life that these are experts. We're told that, what's the harm in bringing somebody in who knows more about it than I do? I'll just trust the experts. And we've heard that increasingly in the last several years. So what you're saying is really almost countercultural, especially over the last few years.
Well, and again, I value education. I've got an undergraduate degree, a graduate degree, and a PhD in this stuff, and I value it. And I agree that understanding how we function as human beings, both internally and socially and relationally, is important. And in fact, I would argue that much of the Bible directs us toward understanding ourselves in relationship to each other and in relationship with God. So I'm not disparaging that, but you're the expert. You're the father. You're the mother. No one knows your child better than you. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Unless there's something grossly dysfunctional going on, you should take the reins and you should be a good dad and a good mom. And again, don't farm it out to somebody else because you think they know your child better than you. I think the church has been making this mistake for decades where we farm out the teenage years to the youth pastor, thinking the youth pastor knows more than we do about how to take care of adolescents. Garbage. The youth pastor doesn't know more than the parent. And honestly, he may be good at throwing pizza parties, but he doesn't know anything about counseling your kid through relational conflict or through anxiety or through adolescent development. Moms and dads should take the responsibility here. And yes, partner with a professional if there's something grossly abnormal taking place, but make sure that professional is someone you agree with and understand and someone that understands you.
Talk to the parents out there who are hearing what you're saying and they think in concept, they're saying, you're right. I was a parent, my kids are both in their 20s. And there are times I'm thinking, I've never done this before when my oldest is in those teenage years or the first set of problems happen. I don't know. There's There's no how to parent roadmap, out there that I would necessarily go to when I don't know the answer. Not every parent knows the answer. How do you work through that, saying you know your kid better than anybody else, when the temptation is call somebody or hire somebody in? Because when you tell parents you're the expert on your child, there's a lot of people who say, but it just doesn't feel that way sometimes.
Well, sure. And we all have discomfort. I mean, what parent likes talking to their son or daughter about sex, for example? I mean, that's hey, go talk to your mom. I mean, or go talk to the pastor, or go. We don't like dealing with the uncomfortable things, but there are times where we need to screw up our courage and take care of those important issues ourselves as best we can. And here's, as a Christian, I would say, hey, that's why you're part of the church. You have friends in your church. You have a pastor in your church. Go to them and ask them for advice. Partner with them as you raise your children. Ask them what they did. If they're half a step ahead of you, if their children are, a generation older than yours, or even just a few years older than yours, there are good parents within your circle of influence at your church that can give you good common sense advice. And you can trust them because you've had a relationship with them and you're all marching to the same tune. You're all marching in the same direction under the banner of your church. And that's the kind of child I think you want to raise, is somebody that embraces those values. So go to your circle of influence, your friends, your pastor, and seek their advice before you go to a stranger.
And for a lot of the parents out there who are probably struggling or debating what you just said, why does it matter where good advice or good mentoring comes from? Why does it matter if it comes from the parents versus a counselor versus a teacher? What's so important about the parent's unique role in delivering that advice or that mentorship?
Because in our time, we live in a postmodern culture where you don't know if the teacher is going to embrace your values on sexuality. You don't know if the teacher or the school counselor or the therapist is going to enable your child to become very dysfunctional and embrace trans identity, for example. You have 30% of today's Gen Zers. 30% of them are identifying as LGBTQIA trans. 30%, I'm going to say that number one more time, 3 out of 10. Now that is not normal. Just 5 minutes ago, in terms of human history, it would have been in the 1 to 4%. And all of a sudden it jumps to 30%. Why? Because the professional establishment, the experts are pushing your kids in that direction. I don't want that happening when my kid is wrestling with his sexuality when he's 14, 15 years of age. I don't want somebody encouraging my kid to experiment with sexuality rather than understand that it's binary and that it's defined by God and the moral parameters are the best way for you to live. That's why it's important to keep these things close to home rather than going with a stranger to give advice and counsel.
Okay, if you want to see the more complete written answer to this, just look up WashingtonTimes.com and look up Everett Piper. This one's called Ask Dr. E. Should Parents Use Therapists to Help Children Adjust to Life Challenges? Fascinating conversation, Everett. I really appreciate you being back on the program. People do want to maybe be in touch, follow your work. Otherwise, what's the best way to do that?
My Twitter handle is Dr. Dr. Everett Piper. DrEverettPiper. And you can go to Facebook. I've got a professional personality page, and that's under Dr. Everett Piper on Facebook. Or go to my website, and that's dreverettpiper.com.
And of course, see your books available there as well. So, Everett, great to talk to you again. I really hope this spurs on a lot of conversations and debates and difficult questions that, frankly, I think we probably ought to wrestle with these days.
The bottom line is parents should be parents. It's your job. It's your responsibility. Don't farm it out. Step up to the plate, accept the challenge, be a good dad, be a good mom.
Thanks so much, Everett.
Blessings.
All right. What do you think? I know not everybody's going to agree with this, but I think he makes a lot of outstanding points. Now, listen, if you're not a religious person, you're not going to a church. I mean, there's got to be some other solid set of moral or ethical social circles that you've got out there somewhere. I personally think the church would be the best one if you're in a good church, and there are some bad churches out there, but that's a whole discussion for another day. So what do you think? Are we turning to therapists and counselors way too quick, way too early, way too often? Let me know. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
All you got is this moment. 21st century's yesterday.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You can care all you want. Everybody does, yeah, that's okay, yeah.
The tides are changing.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
The Democratic Party doesn't stand with what I stand for.
News Talk STL.
Man, what a great party you're throwing here. This wasp nest is great.
Yeah, man, we got about 70 wasps in here.
Too bad we can't fit any more wasps in here. It looks like they're having fun outside, stinging all the kids. Ah, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there's a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency, we're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. The 80s. Bueller.
The 80s.
Let's go while we're young. Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be.
Where are the dates?
It's Flashback Friday.
Foreigner.
That was yesterday.
Wow.
It was yesterday in the 80s.
Yeah, that's right. Good choice on Flashback Friday here. All right. Let's do the news thing. Let's do it.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news stuff.
We're going to do a lot of stuff just really organically today. I mean, the show's pretty organic as it is. I'm going to go through some news here. My goodness, thank you for all the contributions, what you're saying online. 314-912-1019.
We will get to these, by the way.
Yeah, as many of them as we can. It is 6:53, so I've got about 4 minutes to get through the news. So you got 4 minutes if you want to be in at 7:05. Tim Jones, of course, you know him as our afternoon host here on News Talk STL. You may remember him as the Speaker of the House for the Missouri House of Representatives. But when he began his career, because he is an attorney as well, he was a criminal prosecutor in New York.
Yes.
So he knows this area. So we're going to talk to him at 7:05. All right. Guilty 34 times. That's what the New York court says, at least. Donald Trump outside the courtroom after the verdicts were rendered. This is part of what he had to say.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt.
Okay, Gabe, just pick out any comment. Somebody who's reacting to this, where maybe something from Facebook.
Oh, sure. Well, Karen on Facebook was talking about how her and her dad were watching the verdict come in, and it almost felt like when they were watching the OJ trial coming to an end, and that they got that not guilty verdict for on OJ, and they were like, oh my God, how can this happen? They can't believe it. It was the same feeling with this verdict. How can this be happening? So the air was just kind of let out of their tires, so to speak, and was what not just her family, but other families as well who are she's been in contact with.
On Rumble, Gene LC says regarding the verdict, he says 10-pot third world country we're in now. Third big guy in justice quits to work with Bragg. President POTUS fingerprints all over this. No surprise if Donald Trump is jailed or confined on parole to New York to contain him there. Okay, so we're going to get to as many of these as we possibly can. It's 6:55 right now. Another judge in Missouri rules that cannabis customers can be double taxed. It's really triple taxed if you think about it.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, at least when it comes to sales taxes. Now, this case is in Buchanan County, which is in northwest Missouri, where both the county and the city of St. Joseph imposed a sales tax on marijuana products, each of them individually. Now, I'm talking about how this is going to affect us here in a second, because this case is similar to the one here in St. Louis County, where the judge also, in that case, ruled that both the city and the county can stack the sales taxes. Now, this is in addition to the state sales tax imposed by Amendment 3, which voters approved and legalized recreational pot. So Amendment 3 did not clarify that. Those who wrote that and campaigned for it and funded it said that's not what we meant. Well, it's not what was written in there, which is one of the things that we expressed concern about back in the day. The overall question is certain to be decided by the Missouri Supreme Court down the road. All right, let's see here. A couple sports things here. No, let me get this other one. I didn't think when I began my media career that I would be warning you about armadillos.
The armadillos are coming?
Yeah, they're coming. They're here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, over the years, armadillos, they were never this far north, but now this is their habitat. They have migrated north over the years. Now the Missouri Department of Conservation says armadillo sightings, including along roads and highways in this area in St. Louis, particularly on I-44 right now, they are more common as the weather gets warmer, and because insects are among their main diet, and the plethora of cicadas.
Oh, yeah, they're following cicadas.
They are following the cicadas because a cicada super whatever brood to these armadillos, that is like a buffet to J.B. Pritzker.
Got him.
So they are all over the place. So watch out, because those armadillos have terrible eyesight.
Yeah.
And they will jack up your car.
Yeah. They don't realize they're on the road.
Yeah, no. All right. The Cardinals road trip continues this afternoon. They start a series with the Phillies at 5:40. Miles Michaelis gets the start for this one. Now, because the Cubs lost yesterday, because remember, the Cardinals and Cubs were tied for second place. The Cubs lost. The Redbirds did not play. That means the Redbirds are now in second place in the division all alone. They are 5 games behind the Brewers.
Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis. Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
You guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Oh, people, this is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
Tim Jones here, inviting you to join the Veterans Committee of the Eureka Pacific Elks Lodge 2644 as they host a cornhole tournament and BB gun shoot at the lodge on Saturday, June 22nd. For more information, visit eurekapacificelks.org.
News, analysis, opinion.
This was supposed to be a peaceful demonstration.
Chaos erupts on the University of Texas.
This is 1019 and 94.1.
He asked me to pay off an adult film star.
There is an insufficient amount of evidence.
News Talk STL.
Freedom isn't just a word. It should be a way of life for all Missourians. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2024 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from a Bill of Rights for parents to government transparency, school report cards, healthcare reform, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams. Parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2024 Missouri Blueprint. Moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason.
We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man.
Former President Trump reacting to the verdict in his New York criminal trial, guilty on all 34 felony counts. Mr. Trump saying his fight is far from over.
It's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution.
And he'll say more in a few hours when he holds a news conference at Trump Tower, outside the former president's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida.
We're here to support the president like we always do. And that's it. Simple as that.
A gathering of Trump supporters who say the verdict only strengthens their resolve. Mr. Trump is to be sentenced July 11th, just days before the Republican National Convention. In the meantime, the presumptive GOP presidential nominee still has to deal with 3 more criminal cases as well as his campaign for the White House. The Biden team, quick to issue a statement on the conviction, says it proves that no one is above the law. In Minneapolis, police mourning the death in the line of duty of one of their own.
Authorities say Minneapolis police officer Jamal Mitchell was ambushed and killed Thursday while responding to a call of a double shooting at an apartment complex. They say about 2 blocks away from the complex, Mitchell stopped to provide aid to a man who appeared to be a victim in the shooting, but that man wound up shooting the officer. Police say another officer arrived and exchanged gunfire with the shooter, who was killed. Another person, believed to be an innocent bystander, was also shot and is in critical condition, and a firefighter was also shot and injured. I'm Donna Warder.
It's been a rough week for Wall Street, and on the heels of yesterday's losses, looks like the stock market may be set to give up more ground today. Stock futures are lower. Right now, the Dow futures are down 41 points, NASDAQ futures off 58, and the S&P futures down 9 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Well, summer's just around the corner, but if aches and pains are keeping you from your favorite outdoor activity, I want to tell you about Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it, getting you back outside to enjoy your favorite activities all summer long. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4 Relief.
Trish Regan provides the analysis you need each day on the Trish Regan podcast on the Salem Podcast Network.
The Democrats keep getting this one wrong. They think that they can just flip states, that suddenly all the Hispanics are going to vote for Joe Biden. And in fact, what you're actually seeing in places like Texas is Hispanics. They're overwhelmingly coming out in favor of Trump.
Subscribe to the Trish Regan podcast today on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today. We'll see a high of 82 degrees. Rain then moves in this evening. Rain will be likely overnight with a few rumbles of thunder possible as we drop to 66. And Saturday, showers and thunderstorms likely, especially during the first half of the day, becoming a bit more scattered in the afternoon. Saturday's high 76. Sunday looks a little better, partly cloudy and dry, but warmer with a high of 85. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. Give Benjamin Schaefer a call at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
It's Friday.
It is Friday.
By the way, speaking of Kofifi, 7 years ago yesterday was when
the tweet
went out.
The Kofifi tweet.
the infamous Kofifi tweet.
Oh my goodness.
A simple typo just became a whole phenomenon.
All right, the verdict is in, and the left is going to be saying the words convicted felon over and over and over and over.
Going to be their favorite phrase.
And over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you there are people both pro and anti-Trump right now who are printing up convicted felon themed shirts and hats and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
So somebody is printing up a shirt that says I'm voting for the convicted felon.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're going to lean into this.
Oh, heck yeah.
in a big way. And so that somebody's capitalizing.
It's already started on social
I'm
media.
Sure it is. Yeah,
and the
absolutely.
website went down. The website for contributions.
That's true.
It crashed from the number of people trying to donate.
Yeah, the website for Donald Trump's campaign, the donation one, like you said, it literally crashed because it had way too much. That was not a what they call it, a DOS attack.
Yeah, denial of service.
Yeah, or DNS. It was not that. It was confirmed that it was so many people going to contribute. So that's part of the conversation. So here's where we are. My goodness, we have a lot of people who have a lot to say on social media here. I'm sorting through the Rumble comments in the chat box. Gabe and Stell are going through Facebook and Twitter and the others, and we're going to get to as many of your comments as we possibly can. We're joined now by Tim Jones. Of course, you know him every day from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, along with Chris Arps hosting our afternoon show. You also know he was the Speaker of the House of the Missouri House of Representatives. But what not a lot of people will know that in Tim's early legal career, he was a prosecuting attorney in New York. So he's got a variety of perspectives on what's going on with the Trump verdict yesterday. And Tim, I was here when we got news that the verdict was coming. By the time I got home is when they had announced the verdict. And so start with, if you will, then we can get into the political and the social and the cultural stuff here, but start in the legal side of it. In the New York courtrooms, laws vary from state to state. We talked about that with Susie Moore a little bit. But when you're watching the instructions from the judge, when you're watching how this is being managed, when you know that the verdict is coming back very quickly, you and I were chatting about it, what's your reaction when you heard guilty on all the charges?
Well, Mike, did you notice how all of us, I would say to a T, were not shocked by this verdict? It wasn't like we all went, oh my gosh, Trump was actually convicted. No, we shook our heads very sadly and said, unfortunately, yes, the kangaroo court, the Soviet show trial, delivered the result that it was intended to deliver. And Mike, the headlines on all the legitimate news sources like the Federalist and the Spectator World, they prove that point. The Federalist saying this morning, kangaroo court convicts Trump following Soviet show trial in New York City. The Spectator says Trump found guilty in America's first ever Stalinist trial. I mean, how can you say there was anything but that? Look, step back and look at this from 35,000 feet. This was the weaponization of the judicial system to attack the highest ranking political opponent of the current ruling regime, right? I mean, if I were to give you that headline, you would say, oh, Tim, what happened in North Korea today? Right? That's exactly what you would say. Or what did Putin do now? In addition to being a practicing attorney in the state of New York, which I used to be proud of, I'm now not so sure. I'm actually looking at my bar license right now, wondering if it's worth anything at this point. I also was a Russian studies double major, and I'm telling you, Stalin, Lenin, Khrushchev, they're all rolling in their graves with happy glee today, because the once mighty land of freedom and liberty that did have a judicial system that was the envy of the freedom and liberty loving world is no better than what we see in these third world banana republic tin pot dictatorships. And that's exactly what the left wants. The left has orchestrated an attack on our institutions from the moment that, I don't know, we can go back to Barack. We could go before probably Barack Obama, but they turned it up to 11 when Joe Biden took office 3.5 years ago. They've attacked the electoral system. They've attacked the education system. They've attacked the healthcare system. They have attacked the judicial system. They want to do things like pack the court. They want to turn trials like this upside down and on their heads. And Mike, I'd be happy to get into my problems that I think are with the case as to all the reversible error. There are layers of it. There was an embedded DOJ official. I don't know how much you guys have talked about that over the last few weeks. One of Joe Biden's henchmen at the Department of Justice literally left the federal DOJ and basically intentionally demoted himself back to a city prosecutor's office. This guy, Coangelo, or whatever his name is. Coangelo. Mm-hmm. Coangelo was a Department of Justice official under Joe Biden. He voluntarily left one of the best jobs on the planet, if you're in the federal government, and went back to a crappy little city prosecutor's office in the borough of Manhattan. Magically, 2 months after he showed up there, which was about 2 months after Donald Trump announced that he was going to run for president, the case was resurrected. This case had been dead and buried because of all of its problems, beginning with the statute of limitations expiring, and then it went on from there. The judge's daughter is a multi-million-dollar fundraising bundler for the Democratic Party and has probably become extremely wealthy throughout the last 7 weeks of this trial. This whole thing, I'm sorry to say it, it was rigged from the beginning to the end. And I'm not upset at this jury necessarily. They're biased, of course. They're a 90-10 Joe Biden jury. There was no jury of the peers to be found. That's why there should have been a venue change. That's another problem I have that's reversible error. I could go on and on and on. But they were led to water by unconstitutional, illegal jury instructions that did not specify the underlying crime that made this entire thing a felony. We're sitting here one day after this verdict. Neither I nor any other legitimate legal expert can tell you today what this jury actually convicted Donald Trump of, because the judge in the jury instructions gave them a menu of 3 options. And basically, to paraphrase Guy Benson, he had a wonderful quote on this, choose your own adventure. Well, we don't do that in the criminal justice system. We prove elements beyond a reasonable doubt, every single one of them. So as we sit here today, we know about the business records violations, right? I'll give you those. Those are misdemeanors. What was the underlying crime that led to the felony conviction? It's not specified on the verdict sheet. It wasn't specified in the jury instructions. This case will be reversed on appeal. But see, they don't care. It goes back to the point you guys just made when we came into the segment. For the next 5.5 months, they just want to be able to say convicted felon Donald Trump. They could care less if they got to this result fairly or not.
Morning, Tim. Gabe here. So you mentioned the appeal process. We know that's going to go through. How confident are you that the appellate court is going to overturn this? I'm not really familiar with the New York appellate court and the types of judgments they've been putting out lately. But since my faith in the judicial system has been rocked, I'm not sure which court I should trust.
Yeah, and Gabe, you make a great point there. I said it should be reversed. I don't know that it will be, because yes, unfortunately, we're still in the state of New York. This case could go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court because of the flawed in jury. See, the left did this to themselves by referencing a federal elections law violation over which Bragg had no jurisdiction. they have created yet another layer of possible reversible error, and they've caused a federal question to be inserted in a state court prosecution. That's how the Supreme Court of the United States of America could get jurisdiction over this case. Now, if all the New York courts affirm the verdict and then the Supreme Court of the U.S. reverses it, well, then suddenly the left won't like our judicial system anymore, right? Well, you know what? They set the rules of this game. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Gabe, if we were in any other jurisdiction, I would almost be able to tell you with 110% certainty that this case would be reversed. Because, Gabe, I'm going to go back to the jury instructions alone because that's the most obvious thing. You can't say to the jury, well, you can, but it's unconstitutional. You can't constitutionally say to the jury, all right, if you find Donald Trump guilty of these misdemeanors and you find that he committed these misdemeanors in furtherance of another crime in order to elevate then the entire case to felony level, you can choose amongst these three options which of these things he may have done in order to get to that level. You can't do that. And the judge also said all 12 of them, they didn't just have to pick one of the three options. 4 of them could have chosen door number 1. 4 of them could have chosen door number 2. 4 of them could have chosen door number 3. 6 of them could have chosen door number 1. And 5 of them door number 2. And 1 of them door number 3. And you don't have to specify that on your jury verdict. How is that guilt beyond a reasonable doubt on all the elements of the charged offenses? We don't know the underlying crime. Again, as we sit here today, a day after the conviction, we don't know how the jury ultimately reached their final verdict. The attorney for Donald Trump, Mr. Blanche, he challenged that jury verdict when it came in and he was overruled. They don't care. They orchestrated a kangaroo court Soviet-style trial so they could get the T-shirt, convicted felon Donald Trump, and try to add that to their repertoire of saving democracy and abortion rights because they've got nothing else to run on. While Donald Trump was locked up in a New York courtroom for 6 weeks, Joe Biden, in a normal world, a normal human being, would have been campaigning all across the country. He physically can't, though. So they don't have to put their thumb on the scales of justice. They need to put a gorilla on the scales of justice. And that's what they did in that New York courtroom because Joe Biden is a horribly flawed, debilitated candidate. They're going to try to drag his carcass across the finish line once again. And so they have to do everything possible not to permit Donald Trump to campaign in an ordinary way. And that's all this trial was. It was not in pursuit of any sort of law and order or legal remedy or justice. It was meant to tar and feather the top political opponent of the ruling regime.
Okay, Tim, we're a little bit heavy on the segment, but let me ask you about the process part of this. The sentencing is set for July 11th. In the meantime, we're certain that the appeal is going to be filed probably fairly quickly, probably next week, I would guess. So what's the likely process from here? My guess is they are not going to hold off on the sentencing. They're going to do that. But in the reality, is it a matter of they're going to say, okay, they're going to suspend the execution of whatever the sentence is pending the appeal, make him pay a big bond? Or are they going to try to march him into some jail cell, which even as much as the way they hate Donald Trump, I'd be surprised if they actually did that as much as they want to do that. So what's the likely outcome since you've been there in the New York system?
Well, Mike, until this situation, I could tell you what was likely going to happen. But now like I said, we're in kangaroo court, Soviet-style show trial land. So let me tell you what would normally happen in normal judicial procedure land. What would normally happen is a defendant would have 30 days to appeal a verdict. Donald Trump's lawyers are likely not going to wait 30 days. They're going to do that early next week, is my prediction. They're going to appeal the verdict. The sentencing will occur on July the 11th. Now, with an appeal, the appeal in normal legal land would stay the execution of the sentence, which means the sentence would be stopped. It would be held while the appeal is running. So my prediction is Donald Trump, even if he's sentenced to jail time in normal legal land, that sentence will never be executed. It will be stayed. It will be stopped pending appeal. The appeal will reverse the conviction. Now, that's what would normally happen. In this situation, in this jurisdiction, I think it's possible that any other possibility might occur, but I still think the likelihood is that Donald Trump will never actually see the inside of a jail under this sentence, and that this conviction will eventually be overturned after the election. But see, that's exactly what the Democrats, the left, and their willing allies in the national corporate media wanted. They just wanted the tagline so they have a campaign slogan to run on, because up to this point, they really don't have anything.
All right. Tim Jones, host of the afternoon show with Chris Arps right here on News Talk STL. Going to be gathering more facts throughout the day. Tim, I don't know if you've lined up anybody to join you on the program this afternoon, but obviously you're going to pick up where we leave off here in just a little bit.
Yes, we absolutely are. We'll be continuing to cover this. I will more fully explain why I believe these jury instructions were reversible error, why a felony charge has still not yet been proven beyond a reasonable doubt up to this point, and politically what happens next to this entire mess.
Tim, if I can interject quickly, congratulations and thank you for a great show with Chris yesterday afternoon. You guys did a great job covering everything.
Well, thank you very much, Stel. We were doing everything on the fly, and I got to give a lot of credit to our incredible producers, Joey V in studio, and Katie was playing some assistant producer capabilities behind the scenes and got us Attorney General Andrew Bailey with immediate reaction to this matter. And a lot of his statements were very similar to the ones I just made on your show here this morning. Most of us lawyers who care about the continued perpetuation of the best legal system on the planet, we're saying all the exact same things, no matter where we are on the philosophical or political aisle. And that should tell you something.
4 o'clock to 6 o'clock right here on News Talk STL. Tim Jones, Chris Arps. Don't miss it. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. 314-912-1019. Good night. The social media conversations are on fire right now.
Yeah, the saga continues.
314-912-1019. Here's what we're going to do here just ahead here. I'm turning it over to you.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go through as many of these comments as we can, but give me a call. Let's talk. This is the part of the day where I'm just saying, listen, we've all got our views on what happened. And by the way, as it was been pointed out by Ed and some others on Rumble, what you think of what happened in that New York courtroom doesn't necessarily have to have anything to do with what you think of Donald Trump.
Right. Right.
You know, there are people, as Tim just said, there are lawyers who are mad because of the way that the judicial system has been and is being weaponized about that. So it's, believe it or not, bigger than Donald Trump.
Oh, absolutely.
As well. All right. 314-912-1019. St. Louis, let's talk. Let's just do it. Let's have the conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Want to give me more information? You want to take the place of what I trust?
News, analysis, opinion.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. Since then, he hadn't shown up for debate.
We have long been saying President Trump is ready to do this.
Make my day, pal.
Here's what he's saying to Israel. Let me run the war for you. Here's my advice to Israel. Don't.
This trial is more about our politics than it does about our alleged crime.
This is nothing more than election interference at its finest.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one
for conservative talk.
News Talk STL and newstalkstl.com.
Okay, let's say you know somebody who wants to move to a red state like Missouri. Like, let's just pulling a state out of the hat. They want to leave, I don't know, New York, and they want to come somewhere else. You say, all right, I've got the perfect team to find you the right home. And those are my friends, Rodney and Jen Wallner. Mike Ferguson here with the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. That's what we call a segue in the business right there. I'm just saying. You can give them a call today at 314-810-SOLD. Rodney and Jen have been with us here at News Talk STL since day one. Proud to partner with them. You know, my mom's going to be moving here by the end of the year. She hasn't quite decided where she's going to go. And when I was talking to her the other day, she goes, Rodney and Jen are going to help me, right? Absolutely. I would not have anybody other than Rodney and Jen work with my mom because I want my mom to get the right advice and the right empowerment and the right dollar for dollar deal. And I trust Rodney and Jen to be referred to my mother 314-810 sold. That's how much I trust Rodney and Jen, and that's why you should as well. So give them a call today. I'm going to give that number out a couple more times here, and just call them and say, here's my situation. Here's what I'm thinking of doing. Maybe it's time to downsize and move somewhere else. Maybe it's time to move closer to work, to a different school district. Maybe it's time to upsize because your family's going. Maybe you're looking to buy some investment property and rent something out. Whatever it is, Rodney and Jen look at the entire picture. Rodney and Jen have built a very successful business by putting the people they serve first. Listen, in the best of conditions, real estate is a complicated process. Rodney and Jen do the legwork for you. Rodney and Jen give you the best advice, even if that advice is, hey, hold on, wait, the market conditions may favor you down the road a little bit. They'll give you that, but they're going to do whatever it is you want to do, and they are going to empower you to get the best dollar for dollar deal, whether you are selling your home or whether you're looking to buy a home. If you're selling, they've got so many pre-approved buyers, you may not even have to list it. So give them a call today. Tell them you heard Mike talking about them, and that is 314-810 sold. One more time, 314-810 sold.
Hey, this is a great time to get fantastic deals at Ackerman Toyota, #1 volume dealer in the area. Why? Very simple. They want to make you happy. They'll come up with a deal that puts you in the driver's seat. You'll be smiling as you drive off the lot. You got to trade in? You're going to get top dollar from Ackerman. Looking for a premium used car or truck? Ackerman is the answer. Ackerman Toyota at Hampton and 44. AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota for life.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Dwayne Eoff, owner of Sugar Creek Golf Course at 405. Dr. Fader of Comprehensive Chiropractic 420. Joel Griffith on everything wrong with Joe Biden's economy at 520.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL. The 80s. Excellent. Never been a decade like it. Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
Billie Jean.
Man, how is it that just a simple drum riff clues you in exactly as what the song it is?
And you're a drummer.
Oh, yeah. I heard it immediately. I was like, oh, dang. Okay, let's go.
Everything just layers in with this one. The drum, and the bass, and the synths.
And the vocals right here.
She was more like a beauty queen from a movie scene. I said, don't mind, but what do you mean I am the one?
Man, thank you for all these requests. I got to tell you, we're getting back into the intensity of the Trump conversation, but
yeah,
man, Flashback Fridays, nice little moment of respite.
You need it
there.
You really do.
All right, 7:27 right now. All right, 314-912-1019. What is your reaction when you heard the news of the guilty verdicts against Donald Trump? And now that you've had some time to think about it, how are you feeling about it now? So give me a call. Send me those comments. You can grab any one of the comments off of Facebook. I'll get one off Rumble here, and we'll get to that here in a second. By the way, News Talk STL and the Heritage Foundation are teaming up for the Saving America 2024 event, The Economy and the Courts. That's going to happen June 25th at the Funny Bone in St. Charles. We're all going to be there. Joel Griffith and Zach Smith, they're going to be there from the Heritage Foundation as well. Love for you to be there too. It is free, but you do need a ticket. You got to reserve your spot. We've only got so many seats available. We need to know who's coming so we can make sure that everything is supplied and equipped enough so we can get everything to you. It's going to be a great evening of conversation, especially in the tenuous times that we're in right now. So mark it down on your calendar, June 25th, and go to newstalkstl.com to reserve your free tickets. All right. Give me something from Facebook.
Okay. Lee here. He says, I'm sad for the country. I put my life on the line for the country because that's what an American does. This sham trial and verdict is an insult and disgraceful. I fear for what things are to come in the near future.
You see, I'm seeing a few of those comments of fear and dismay, other people, anger, ready to fight. I'm going through a lot of these on Rumble here. Let's see here. Let's go to
Oh, I've got one here.
Okay, yeah, because I've got so many. to go
Yeah,
through here.
it's probably moving on you. You're at the bottom. I'm at the top. Looking back a little bit from some of these earlier comments, I think Buckley was one of our earlier commenters from on Rumble, and he had a kind of series. But this one kind of stuck out to me. He said 5 out of 10 people I see online absolutely love this verdict, and that does not show a bright future for this country. It shows that not just the people in charge, but the people themselves are having some trouble here.
Yeah, and let's see here. Man, there's just so much here. Let's
While
go.
you're looking there, Mike, a
Yeah.
little side note here from our friends at Red State.
Yeah.
They have a headline that says, "Has the sleeping giant been awakened?"
See, I'm seeing some of that stuff as well. Let's see here on Rumble All In Man. My advice to all Trump supporters, please don't. So many are coming in. It moved on me. Please don't do something stupid. That's what they want. They want an excuse to COVID us.
Oh gosh, yes.
That's an interesting take on it. And I mentioned that yesterday. I said,
yeah,
they absolutely, the hard left absolutely wants somebody to get so angry and furious that they commit some kind of violent act. Do not do that.
This is going to seem very, very random, but I just saw a sort of an analysis of the Evander Holyfield Mike Tyson fight from way back in the night. The one that ended with the ear biting.
Yes.
And my eyes were opened a little bit. I was like, wait a second, and they showed each time headbutt, low blow, not called. Headbutt, low blow, not called. It's just. There was a series of fouls that Evander Holyfield was committing that was not called by the ref. Mike was complaining to the ref in between rounds. He's like, he headbutt me again. Nothing was going. And then just out of sheer frustration and anger, he bites down after another headbutt on Evander Holyfield's ear. But the only thing we remember historically, the only thing that everybody looks to when they think about that fight is the ear bite. And that's kind of where we are right now. We've been getting headbutt and low blowed by the establishment for years now. You've got somebody mentioned it also in the comments, this series of attacks for people on the right, be it protesters at abortion clinics or pro-life advocates or Donald Trump himself, right? So they're trying to push us to bite their ears. They're trying to push us to do something so big and also against the rules that we come out looking like the bad guys.
And go ahead and toss in Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro.
Oh, the list goes on. Yeah, the list is huge.
All right, 7:31 right now. All right, guys, this thing that was in the lineup for this for the next one, throwing it out.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
We're
calling
keep
an
going
audible.
here. All right, let me. There was a question about all the upside down flags that just came in. Let's start with that.
Okay. Yeah.
Around 7:34. I'm just going to read the question that's happening there. Once again, 314-912-1019. Yeah, I really want to make this the place where you want to vent. You want to be angry, be angry. Just don't get me in trouble with the FCC.
Yeah, please.
You want to, you want to gloat and celebrate? Okay.
You can do that too.
You can do that too.
We'll talk.
I'll talk with you. I'll talk with anybody.
And we'll be calm about it.
Yeah.
And we're not going to yell at
listen, this is where, like I said, this is the proverbial on the air and online coffee shop. This is the coffee clutch right now. Excuse me. I need to have a sip of coffee clutch right now. And sit down at the table.
It's still a free country, just barely.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert Meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today. We'll see a high of 82 degrees. Rain then moves in this evening. Rain will be likely overnight with a few rumbles of thunder possible as we drop to 66. And Saturday, showers and thunderstorms likely, especially during the first half of the day, becoming a bit more scattered in the afternoon. Saturday's high 76. Sunday looks a little better, partly cloudy and dry, but warmer with a high of 85. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
My sponsor, McGuire Moving, has job openings for drivers and movers, offering competitive pay. You can be off every night if you want or on the road. You're off every other weekend. full benefits, insurance, paid vacations. But McGuire is a very good company. So here's a very important requirement. You must excel in making customers happy. Full or part-time job? More information, go to McGuireMoving.com. Apply online at McGuireMoving.com/careers.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
The Beatles and the FBI. I'm talking about the British legendary Beatles and two infamous FBI employees, FBI agent Peter Strzok, Smurf as I call him, and FBI lawyer Lisa Page. I should add former FBI employees. Now back to the Beatles and their 1967 hit, All You Need Is Love. Well, that's what Smurf Strzok had with Page. And they were texting on FBI phones about their love, their affair, always finding time also to discuss not only how much they loved each other, but hated Trump, that there was no way Trump could win against Hillary. Still continuing their texts, but always including hate Trump, love you, hate Trump. When the FBI released the text, Lisa sued for invasion of federal privacy. Strzok Smurf said violation of First Amendment freedom of speech. They each had their claims, and they thought they were definitely going to get something for it. Well, it appears now they have settled lawsuits with the DOJ. Details not being released. But all you need is love might be replaced by another love quote. You call it madness. I call it love. No, it's madness.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Pigeons, they are everywhere, and they're very good at dive bombing freshly washed cars. Wellington Environmental reminds you those droppings are more than a nuisance. They can be a major health issue, especially massive droppings on buildings or in parking garages. So who do you call to safely clean it up? You do what many hospitals, universities, public buildings already do. You call Wellington Environmental. Wellington Environmental has been dealing with all kinds of hazards for 35 years. Special people, special skills, special equipment. Wellington gets it done. So to avoid health issues ranging from pigeon droppings to mold to chemical leaks, contact Wellington. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me vent here.
Live and local.
Way to be, guys. 1019 all the way.
This is News Talk STL.
I am home.
The 80s.
Bueller. The 80s.
Let's go while we're young.
Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
Don't want to fall in love.
This one's for Janet, Gabe.
Yes.
Because Jane Child is from Toronto, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Another song that you kind of forget about,
Yeah.
and then you hear it and realize, ooh, yeah, I like this.
Man, this is the really fun synth era.
Yeah.
Right here. This version of synth use.
She was, remember, like everybody made a big deal because she had that nose ring and
Mhm.
chain to her nose. Like now that's called going to the loop.
Pretty much.
You know,
And she had a funky haircut.
She had a weird
Yeah.
haircut. Yeah, exactly. I think this was really the only hit she had. Wasn't
I think so. She
Yeah,
might have
it
been a
was.
one-hit wonder.
Yeah, kind of
She
a
was.
one-hit wonder. Yeah, Jane Child.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 7:38 right now. Okay, let me just toss this one out here. M Ward on Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just read his statement here. Read his comment.
Okay.
Can somebody explain to me what the upside down flag resembles outside of disrespect for the flag? I'm seeing politicians and other people like Dan Bongino post the upside down flag. And obviously we're seeing a lot of that in response to the verdict. Upside down flag, as I think most people understand, is a sign of distress.
Yes.
So there actually
Yeah.
is like a maritime and a military and otherwise use of an upside down flag. The symbolism is we are a nation in distress. And that's what people are using that symbol for because of the verdict. So here's where I'm going to expand the question. And M. Ward didn't ask this. I'm going to ask this. And this is for conversation discussion purposes here. Okay.
Mhm.
And that is this an attack on Donald Trump and his campaign? I mean, people on the left are going to try to tell you that this is just a simple criminal case.
Oh, it's
no matter who it
justice.
was. Right.
It's
Okay.
justice. Yeah. That's what they'll say.
But for everybody else, is this a matter of they don't want him campaigning? They don't want him running. They want to beat him in the election. Is it about Donald Trump, or is it truly about an entire nation in distress? Because there are people, including on the right, who are going to say, whoa, don't conflate an attack on Donald Trump with an attack on the entire country. And other people are saying, no, that's exactly what it is.
Mhm.
So with the upside down flag, the inverted flag, that's what the statement is. So what do you make of that, or is it too early to tell? 314-912-1019. And there are a number of people who have responded to his question, and they're saying, no, it is distress, but that's what that symbolism means. So I've already seen a few people like change their Facebook profiles to an upside down flag and things like that.
Yeah. Rebecca also on Rumble said, I've been telling my husband for a while that America died years ago, but people have just now opened their eyes to the fact.
Yeah.
Which is, another take. I think people are feeling as though it's like, wow, the system is worse than I ever could have imagined. Kind of, maybe that's part of the thing. And let me take it from another direction. I think this is kind of maybe underlying a lot of what people are seeing here. On some level, people accepted that there's a measure of a two-tiered system of justice. And it was generally accepted that it was a rich versus poor division. That it was, okay, if you're rich enough to get a really, really good lawyer and you get your team going, and they can get you off from stuff. If you have really good lawyers, and of course the rich people can do that, they can keep people on retainer indefinitely and stuff like that. You can manipulate the legal system to your advantage. That was kind of an accepted level of two-tieredness to our justice system. People wanted it to change, but they kind of went along with that. It's like, okay, well, it is what it is. I think the attacks and on some level the success of the attacks on somebody as powerful and rich as Donald Trump suggests that the division isn't a rich-poor one. It's an ideological one. And if you could then destroy somebody as rich and powerful, or at least, have some measure of success against somebody as rich and powerful as Donald Trump on a certain ideological divide, we're talking Republican, Democrat, then all of us are at risk.
You touched on one particular item there, Republican versus Democrat.
Yeah.
I think maybe as of yesterday, but probably a couple months ago, it's become us versus them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from that aspect, when you get the upside down flag, the distress call, man, I saw a ton of them last night on folks on Facebook and some other sites, and other folks responded and said, hey, what are you doing putting the flag upside down? Well,
it's distress.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I think another part of the debate, argument, divide, if you will, is going to come, because there are going to be people saying, hey, prosecutors and politicians going after one person doesn't mean they're going after the whole country, and other people see everything in that one candidate
right
in there. So that's where I think a lot of that is coming from. Let's see here. Bilbo says on Rumble, let me see here. In my mind, America died when they poll. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. Right, I should have read that. Amy says it's election interference straight up, with the end goal of destroying the country. And so I think that's maybe where some of the people are coming from on this. All right. So By the way, there was, I think it was Bilbo that said, does anybody know if Robert De Niro is still in town? By the way, Robert De Niro may have the SADS just a little bit here. Then we're going to go back to the phone lines in just a second.
What happened?
Because of his outburst in front of the courthouse and his screaming at somebody, the National Association of Broadcasters has decided to pull an award that it planned to give Robert De Niro.
No way.
Yeah, because of his antics.
Oh, poor Bobby D.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
So De Niro was supposed to receive the National Association of Broadcasters Leadership Foundation's Service to America Award next Tuesday in Washington, D.C. But the group confirms to The Hill that because of the way he acted and some of the things he said, they've decided that award really isn't applicable anymore. So they're not going to pull it. Now, so does Robert De Niro in the grand scheme of things care about that? No, but I appreciate the broadcasters saying we're going to stay nonpartisan. We're not going to get into that.
Appreciate that.
All right. Hey, John, you're up on News Talk STL. What's your reaction here?
My reaction is the justice decision. The court decision of nobody is above the law works. So Trump got charged with something proven in a court of law with 12 jurors. He was convicted. He was found guilty. Hasn't been sentenced yet.
Yeah, that's in July.
Why are you so upset about that? I mean, the evidence was enough to convince 12 people. Now, are you upset because the judge might be a Democrat, or that the jury selection was in Manhattan, where the crime took place, and that's where you have the court case is always tried where the crime takes place.
Just real quick, just so we know we're talking about the same thing. What crime?
The crime of business. The crime of, I believe that the crime that he was charged with was falsified business records.
Okay, that's a misdemeanor, but it only rises to a felony if it is in service to committing a felony. So what was the felony that makes that misdemeanor rise to the level of felony?
That felony was, it affected election results. Knowingly, two people conspiring to affect the outcome of an election.
Okay,
that's not true.
Proven.
Well, hold on.
That's not true at all.
Hold on. Was that in the jury's was that in the jury's decision?
I didn't read the jury's decision.
Okay,
yet.
I'll tell you it wasn't.
Okay, well, you're going to tell me whatever you're going to tell me.
Okay, so you're telling me that I'm a liar. You're calling me a liar.
I didn't call you a liar. I'm just going to call you. You and I will read statements, and you'll come with a different opinion than I come with. And look, you didn't look at the facts. The facts are he was tried in a court.
Oh, okay. Well,
yes, in a court.
Yes, that happened.
Correct. And the facts are that 12 jurors found him guilty of the crime charged. Is that not a fact?
All right. So, if let's say
you're attacking the judge, you're attacking the system, and you're supporting people that think America. I look at this completely different. The system works. The system that nobody is above the law and everybody's trial on the same level. That's what I think. This is why America is so great.
No, we will push back on this judge because this judge did not handle this case fairly.
Okay, so the judge being a liberal guy, the judge that's handling the court case in Mar-a-Lago that was appointed by Trump, is she handling that case fairly? Is Alito, because he flies the flag upside down and flies another flag that for Christian nationalists as other? Do you think I should accept his statements or not recusing himself from January 6th? Trump.
If you're going to go there, then we can do Ruth Bader Ginsburg to the end of time.
Hold on. This is very interesting. Because Mike, you may not be.
I missed the Christian nationalist flag thing. Honestly, I'm like, I don't know if that's a reference.
He's probably talking about the appeal to heaven flag.
Yeah,
it might be.
That's a Christian nationalist flag.
It is not actually, but
the Christian nationalist.
But it's being called. But it's being called that because symbols.
No.
Old symbols about America are being ascribed new connotations. Just like, the coffee that I'm drinking right now is a symbol of white supremacy.
Or the Don't Tread on Me flag. That would be the other one.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Gadsden-
that's
the
another
Gadsden
one too.
flag, yeah.
So here's the thing. I mean, you are exactly right. We do seem to live in different worlds because we can look at the same set of facts and come to completely different conclusions. I guess I'm just trying to wrap my head around your version of it.
Okay, did Biden win the election in 2020, or was that stolen?
Okay, here's one of the problems with the discussions between left and right is that instead of addressing a very specific topic, because we're talking about the trial and verdict of Donald Trump on a very specific set of charges, instead of discussing that, now we've gone off and talked about flags, and we've talked about now we're back to the 2020 election. How about we just stick with a specific topic and talk about the specific thing, because that's the only way we can come to some understanding, as opposed to throwing out random facts at one another just because we want to support our people.
Did you just not come out and say the judge is unfair and then
in this case,
because that's about this case.
Well, so the judge is unfair because he gave money to the Biden campaign?
No, it's because of he did not allow a whole bunch of evidence that the defense wanted to present in this case. And I bet in the future, if cases like this come up, you're going to hear people say they got Mershon. So-and-so got Mershon because of the way he handled this case.
And is it fair for Donald Trump to threaten, to basically call out his MAGA troops, to threaten?
I haven't heard him call out.
I haven't heard him call it. No, I mean, I've heard Donald Trump, slam the judge, which was terrible. No lawyer would tell you to do that because you're going to piss off the judge. But I have not heard him call anybody out to threaten him. No.
And if you and I would have made those statements, do you think we would have been held contempt of court?
Which statement?
Do you think?
Oh, no, I know it. No, he's talking about like throughout the whole. Hang on, John. I'll when he was talking about the judge is disgraceful. I mean, he's been saying that the whole. I have had, times where I've been around courts either through media or through civil stuff or my divorce or all that sort of stuff. Every lawyer will say never disparage the judge because that was Trump was terrible judgment on doing those. Now judges are supposed to not incorporate that, but you don't make the judge mad. So
he absolutely could have found him in contempt from that.
Yeah, he absolutely could have done on that. On there. So that could have been. They didn't find him in contempt of that, but they could have.
Violating a gag order, and he was only fined. If you and I would have made those statements, we'd have saw jail time.
Maybe never should have had gag orders.
Why not?
Because it kills the due process that's there. I mean,
it's unconstitutional.
It's unconstitutional.
That's what okay. If you think it's unconstitutional.
No, I know it's unconstitutional.
Well, part of the thing is we're kind of speaking out of the commentary from various lawyers, constitutional lawyers who have said as much. So I mean, yes, you can absolutely disagree on legal terms, but the thing is when you start getting into some of these things, it gets difficult to make your case.
Okay. Trump does have the option to appeal.
Which will happen. Yeah, John, this isn't even close to being over.
Goes, right?
Oh yeah, this is absolutely getting overturned.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Which means that we're not even done. All right, John, we've gone way over time.
But thanks for calling.
Yeah, thanks for calling in.
I mean, I don't know any other.
You guys on anytime.
All right, I don't know any other conservative stations that are gonna say, hey, opponents, people disagree with us. Come on, and we'll give you extra time on that. So, may got a response to John. Got some thoughts on that? Let's talk 314-912-1019. We're not going to have a whole lot of time for Not Today Satan. You want to do that at 8:05?
Yeah, let's do it later.
Let's do it at 8:00. Let's do Not Today Satan at 8:05.
Yes.
Let's follow up here.
Yes.
I actually like it when people disagree with us. Call in.
That was an important call for us to hear.
Right. Which is why we went longer than we were supposed to.
Yes. Sorry.
But I didn't want to cut him off and have him say, oh yeah, I come in and disagree and you cut me off. No, we went literally 7 minutes over.
7 minutes.
I think I'm about to hear it from the boss on that. All right. Right here on 119-94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Maela Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me for Groovy Grooves every Saturday to hear songs like this and memories that will take you back to a groovier place and time. Be sure to check out the playlist at newstalkstl.com for more Groovy Grooves.
And now for something completely different.
Groovy Grooves with Ron Clutho. Saturday nights at 10 on Newstalk STL.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. The 80s. Excellent. Never been a decade like it. Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
Some bad English.
Oh, yeah, this is John Waite.
That's right.
Yeah, singer. And Neil Schon from Journey was the guitar player.
When I See You Smile.
That's right. I had this cassette.
I knew it.
All right, let's
Did you get
see
it
here.
at Quincy Mall?
I actually think I did.
Oh, no.
I think I did. I don't remember the name of the music store, but I think that is where I bought it. Yeah, when I was in high school.
Oh, wow.
At Camp Point Central High School.
Maybe Camelot Music.
I don't remember.
That's
I remember. I mean, it was right there by the J.C. Penney entrance. I remember that. But yeah, right there, kind of in that corner there. All right, it's because I've just got a minute or so here.
Yep.
Let's see here. Lunch Lady on Rumble says, glad he called, meaning John. Means he's listening to the station. Wonder what he thinks of the documents case in Mar-a-Lago. Because he did. Now, to be fair, he tried to bring that one up and we redirected back to, we're talking about the trial day. And because there is a lot to say about the Mar-a-Lago case. I mean, if there is a there, that might be the one, but that we'll get to that when we get to that. Blues Nut, I have no problem with someone who disagrees, but you have to actually make a point and finish the point, not bump from one thing to another. Okay.
Amy, he made no compelling points. None. Right. These same people do not accept the SCOTUS ruling on Roe.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I didn't think about that.
And then also, what do you call it? School loan forgiveness.
Oh, the loan forgiveness thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's where is, listen, one of the things that people are angry about is the weaponization of the judicial process, of the legal process.
Yes.
Of that. That's one of the things people are angry about. I want to live in the country where I can trust that the system and the process works. And that's what so many people are angry about, are saying not only did it not work, but it was used in a specific way to not work.
Yeah.
And does that mean that if I get charged with a traffic crime or something, am I going to get a fair trial? Well, I still might, because that's not a politically hot button thing. All right. I have to stop talking now because the news is coming on.
Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
They always have great conversation.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Charlottesville was a little peanut, and the hate wasn't the kind of hate that you have here. There's an anti-Semitic surge here that has terrible consequences.
We will continue to protest.
The crime that they are accusing President Trump of is falsification of business records.
There are 34 of them alleged.
There is an insufficient amount of evidence.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. In a couple of hours, former President Trump expected to have more to say about his conviction on 34 felony counts in his New York criminal trial. Immediately after the verdict, Mr. Trump denounced a trial that he describes as a sham orchestrated by the Biden team meant to keep him off the campaign trail for as long as possible.
But this was a rigged decision right from day one with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over. Thank you very much.
It does not appear the guilty verdict will move the needle all that much when it comes to who people will be voting for in the presidential election.
67% of those responding to a Marist poll say a guilty verdict would have no influence on their vote. 17% say it would make them less likely to vote for Trump, but that's nearly offset by the 15% who say a guilty verdict would make them more likely to cast their ballot for the former president. The survey found that overall, 2/3 of voters have already made up their minds about who they'll vote for, and nothing's going to change it. Bob Agnew reporting.
Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels say a joint U.S.-Britain airstrike has killed more than a dozen people.
This is the highest publicly acknowledged death toll for strikes carried out over the rebels' attacks on shipping. The countries acknowledged carrying out the strikes on Hodeidah, Stana, and elsewhere. The Houthis focused on a strike that hit a building housing Hodeidah's radio and civilian homes in the port city on the Red Sea.
That's correspondent Charles De La Desma. An inflation gauge closely watched by the Federal Reserve has prices rising 0.2% from March to April. Year over year, it was a 2.8% increase. And on Wall Street, the Dow futures are up 70 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 60 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's lots of things you can try. Tough it out. Bite the bullet. Grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people. Relief Factor. Relief Factor is 100% drug-free, a daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that address the inflammation where it starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time, it helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try a Relief Factor instead. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert Meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today. We'll see a high of 82 degrees. Rain then moves in this evening. Rain will be likely overnight with a few rumbles of thunder possible as we drop to 66. And Saturday, showers and thunderstorms likely, especially during the first half of the day, becoming a bit more scattered in the afternoon. Saturday's high 76. Sunday looks a little better, partly cloudy and dry, but warmer with a high of 85. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy? Wow, you're really pumped about this.
Gabe Pfeiffer. Get up, St. Louis.
The best answer to the toxicity of the left is the truth.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
It's Friday.
Had one of my teammates last night in the dugout.
Yeah.
Ask me. He said, "Hey, you've got all of this Trump verdict stuff." He goes, "That going to be your morning?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's going to be pretty much the morning. I mean, this is what everybody's talking about. This is what everybody feels really strongly about." And then he kind of said, "But you're still going to do not say Satan, right?" Yes, we are.
Yes.
Normally we do that at 7:50.
Mm-hmm.
John calls in. John's on the left.
Mm-hmm.
And the only advice I would give you, John, I'm not going to give you advice on how to debate us or argue with us, but when you make your point, you got to stop talking to let who call in.
Mm-hmm.
Is make your point. We'll give you our take or rebut or argument back, and then I'll actually let you rebut that rebuttal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then of course, hopefully other people are getting involved as well.
Get in, get out.
Just continuing to talk doesn't mean we're not going to counter your point on it. But what he was arguing is what we are going to be hearing in media and online for days and weeks and maybe months to come. So
absolutely.
we'll get there as well. All right. So right around 8:20, we're gonna dump some more news on you, starting off with the update and some reaction regarding the Trump verdict. Got some thoughts on that. We are still tracking everything on the social media, but 314-912-1019. In the meantime, it is Friday, so let's decompress for a minute.
It's the weird, the wacky, and the worrisome. These are the stories that make you say.
Look all the devil.
Oh, hell no. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
Devil.
Just anywhere to be sure.
Not today. Amen.
Amen. Look, a Chinese zoo is being criticized online after visitors complain the animals in a panda exhibit aren't pandas at all.
I saw this.
They're painted dogs.
Isn't that special?
I saw this.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
It's so, and it's adorable, by the way, because, whether they're pandas or painted dogs, they're really cute. So visitors to the Taijiao, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, the Taijiao Zoo in Jiangsu province said they were surprised to discover the animals that went on display May 1st in the panda exhibit are dogs with their fur trimmed and dyed to closely resemble the iconic Chinese bears.
I don't think pandas wag their tails when you show them a treat.
No. It's like I can imagine the visitors to the zoo. They're walking by and they're like, Those pandas look funny.
That looks a little bit. It's because they like you said, they painted and dyed the fur.
Yeah.
From a distance, if they're just sitting there or laying down,
yes.
Okay, maybe give a. Once they get up, it's like
That's not a
that's a
panda.
pupper. That's a pupper.
How come they're not climbing any trees?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like that panda. It's like he's sitting weird too. It's like pandas don't sit like that, right?
He's not chewing on the bamboo. He's running up to you, wanting you to throw it. I saw that. I'm serious. Go to YouTube or whatever and
Yes.
look that up for yourself. It's hilarious. And the fact that they were like, nobody will notice.
well, okay. So a zoo spokesman explained the zoo put the dogs on display because it does not have any resident pandas, but he denied the fur dyeing process was in any way dangerous or harmful to the canines, and also pointed out that the panda dogs aren't meant to be deceptive, as signage posted at the enclosure explained what they were. So that I guess
I'm guessing most folks didn't see the sign.
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure that the sign came up after the visitors
Now,
complained.
was it discovered that they were trying to pull a fast one when the panda keeper came in Chinese went, hey, here, boy. It was like, hey.
Well, is it very similar to a Chinese Rolex, where you're just like, wait a second, there's something ain't right about this.
Something's not right.
Something's not
Oh,
right.
my God.
Okay, in our second story here, Florida deputies were called to a Florida school where something was obstructing a path used by students, a 12.5-foot gator.
No, God, please, no.
The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office said the pathway was often used by kids walking to and from a nearby elementary school, so the presence of the absolute dinosaur of an alligator was very alarming.
Did you say 12 feet?
12.5 feet. Yeah, it was a big old dinosaur. I could not imagine if you're just, you're skipping along to school with your lunchbox or whatever, it's elementary school, and you see a monster in your way. It's like, I don't know how I'm going to, I'm calling a sick day.
Yeah.
Mommy, I don't feel good. All right. So 12.5 feet. I don't know how Florida residents kind of deal with that. I guess the weather, the great governance, all of the, the low taxes, all those things, I guess are just, you just gotta have to put up with something. So hurricanes and alligators,
And
I guess,
dinosaurs.
hurricanes and dinosaurs.
What's amazing is you seem to be able to come up with a great alligator story
every week,
almost every week. So I'm thinking these alligators have some great agents
That's right.
because they are really doing a good job of getting you to get alligator stories on.
I've got, when like my friends in college who were, who came from Florida, or friends I've got who work in Florida, they say to some degree, you don't worry about the alligators too much around, like if you're at the park and you see because like you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone.
Sure.
But they're talking about the little ones.
Yeah.
You know how the big ones get big?
Yeah, they eat the little ones.
They eat the little ones and anything else they can get a hold of.
Yes, absolutely.
That's how they get big.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wind up on a golf course.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Deputies helped trappers capture the alligator and relocate it to a more suitable habitat far from the school. Okay, our last story here in downtown Los Angeles earlier this month, a daredevil risked his life and arrest when he walked a tightrope suspended between two 500-foot skyscrapers. Mike, you're going to love this one because he's a social media influencer.
Of course it is.
Ben Schneider, 28, a.k.a. Reckless Ben on YouTube.
AKA dumbass.
Posted a clip showing him walking the tightrope suspended between the two skyscrapers at Oceanwide Plaza, which was a vacant development. It is Los Angeles, that has become known as the Graffiti Towers because of all of the colorful artwork. So Schneider, who wore a safety harness, it wasn't much of a safety harness. I saw the video. During the stunt, he crossed the nylon rope in about 2 minutes.
That nylon, that's like what you buy at Home Depot.
Seriously, yeah. He grabbed some Home Depot rope, stretched it between two skyscrapers, like twin skyscrapers, 500 feet off the ground. And he was holding a selfie stick at the time, I guess.
Oh my goodness.
I got to tell you, this is the curmudgeon in me. You mentioned, well, he's a social media influencer. What is it about that? I mean, I know that there's a small handful of people who are making a living doing this, and some of them are making a lot of money.
Oh, yes.
99.999% of you all aren't making squat.
Not a thing
on this. And stuff like this is you just are making yourself look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And obviously endangering your life. Yeah. So he's got a safety harness on a nylon rope.
Yeah.
No.
It's wild. Police said they are investigating the incident, but it was not clear if Schneider would face any charges. Well, I charge him with absolute stupidity. So
Yeah.
there is that.
Is there a crime? I mean, maybe he didn't.
Well, it wasn't his building. So it was blocked off. You're not supposed to be there.
It's a bit ironic.
Trespassing.
Trespassing, maybe. I think back to the Walenda family, because the Walendas used to do this all the time. You remember the Walendas? I think one of them lived here in St. Louis.
Oh, no.
They were tightrope walkers.
Oh, okay.
I think they did stuff around Niagara Falls, did stuff between buildings in New York City.
That
type of thing.
terrifies me.
They didn't wear any. I
And-
don't
oh,
believe they
gosh,
wore any
no.
harnesses or anything. They just had the balancing pole.
Oh my gosh.
And that was it.
That stuff is
Can you
so
imagine what
scary.
it would have been like if they had social media?
Oh no.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're wearing GoPros and whatnot.
Yeah.
Look, I'd love to have a big following on social media too, but the most I'd risk to boost my numbers is a stomach ache from celebrating World Candy Day or something. So when it comes to putting your life on the line for a few likes on social media, you know what I'm saying.
Look all the devil.
Oh, hell no. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening. Devil.
Somewhere to be sure.
Not today, Satan. Not today. Amen.
Amen.
All right, I'm going to bring some news to dump on you here right around 8:18, I think is when we're going to do that. Yes, we're going to start with the updates on the Donald Trump verdict. I've got reactions from people through politics and stuff that we're going to play a sample of those and obviously get yours as well, your reaction as well, plus some updates on the courts saying, yeah, you can double and triple stack those taxes on the marijuana as well. And you want to hang out with some Battle Hawks, I will tell you how you can do that a little bit later on. Speaking of the Battle Hawks, we've got one of the Battle Hawks with us at 8:35.
That's right.
Going to give a preview of tomorrow's game against San Antonio right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up, get up.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
You want to give me more information?
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Turn on your colored box, you look for some answers. The false impressions, well, baby, they will last forever. Stop it right now!
Missouri Wild Alchemy is a local and family-owned business dedicated to providing consumers with high-quality cannabis and education. They strive to make customers feel comfortable and to help curtail the stigma of cannabis use by having a professional and well-educated staff. They're proud to carry products from several Missouri cultivators and manufacturers. Missouri Wild Alchemy, now serving recreational customers 21 and above, as well as patients. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram, or visit MissouriWild.com. That's MissouriWild.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Columbo and Katie.
Superintendent of the New Orleans Police Department was speaking to the media this week, and she said the rats are eating our marijuana. They're all high. The rats get in to the evidence rooms and they get into the drugs.
They toke it up. They roll themselves a bleeding.
I think they're eating it. I don't think if they're in there.
Think that they're rolling.
If they're in there with papers.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL. The 80s. Bueller.
The 80s.
Let's go while we're young. Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be.
Fire on the beat!
It's Flashback Friday.
Well, okay, you can dance at 8:19 in the morning. That's fine.
Whitney Houston.
Such a fun song.
She was just so dang adorable. at
Oh,
this.
yeah. Oh, gosh.
This is before Bobby Brown ruined her.
And her national anthem's still the best,
Oh,
I think.
without a doubt.
Clearly.
Yeah, without a doubt. We've got an update for you here in just a minute. Donald Trump does have something to say.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
All right, you've heard the news. Guilty. That was the verdict 34 times, and that's what a New York court says at least. At 10 o'clock, so an hour and 40 minutes from right now, Donald Trump is going to make an address about that verdict. We are going to carry that right here on News Talk STL.
Very good.
Yeah. So right in the middle of Vic Porcelli's show, make sure that you aren't going anywhere because we are going to have that for you.
I'm going to guess you need a flame retardant suit to attend that that press conference because he's bringing a flamethrower.
Right. Well, here's, for instance, part of what he had to say right after the verdicts were read in the New York court. Yeah, I don't know. I've got the whole minute and a half thing. I think let me just kind of pick out one of the spicier parts.
This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace.
All right. Some differences of opinion here. Alvin Bragg, the district attorney in this case, the prosecuting attorney, here is a part of his comment.
While this defendant may be unlike any other in American history, we arrived at this trial and ultimately today at this verdict in the same manner as every other case that comes through the courtroom doors, by following the facts and the law.
I'm sorry, but he made another comment during that press conference where he compared the work that they did now to what Thomas Dewey did back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s in New York. He was a top-notch prosecutor, became governor, ran against Harry Truman. Remember the newspaper?
Dewey
the Truman
defeats
helped.
Truman,
That was Thomas Dewey. And no, I'm sorry, Mr. Bragg, you're not Thomas Dewey.
Okay, so Senator Ted Cruz was on Hannity last night. And here is what he had to say in response to the verdicts.
The objective today was to get the two words that we saw the Biden White House say in their press release today: convicted felon. Between now and November, the Democrats and the corporate media will use the words convicted felon about 1 billion times.
All right. And once again, Donald Trump's going to respond with his own address today at 10 o'clock our time. Assuming that does not change, we will be carrying that right here live on News Talk STL at 10 a.m.
Ted Cruz is exactly right, by the way, because the convicted felon thing, that is a big deal. It's funny. I saw a little back and forth on Twitter. Someone was saying, how they believe the conviction was wrong, and here are the problems I have with the way this was adjudicated. And the response was, but how can you support Donald Trump? He's a convicted felon. It's like, wait, but it's the conviction that I'm having a problem with, you dummy. But that's going to be the line forever now.
And speaking of supporting him, I'll just toss in, there were two major donations over the past couple of days, $300,000 and $800,000.
I saw those
to the campaign, to Trump's campaign.
That $300K came from a guy who voted for Hillary in 2016. He had a huge Twitter rant about the whole thing.
So he would have donated to the PAC.
Yeah, it goes to the PAC.
To the PAC.
You can't
donate that much to the campaign.
Yes,
but the campaign website directly. Like if you went on and said you're going to make a donation, that literally crashed because there were so many people going to it. That was not a DNS attack.
Right.
That literally crashed. All right. A few other things that are happening here. And by the way, we're still getting a lot of comments coming in.
Keep them coming.
Social media. Thank you so much. Keep them coming here. And by the way, if you're whatever platform you're watching us on here, whether it's Rumble or Facebook, whatever, hit the like thing. If you will, that actually helps us get in front of more people and amplify your voice in the conversation as well. Okay, some other news happening here. And another judge in Missouri rules that cannabis customers can be double taxed, at least when it comes to the sales tax. This case is in Buchanan County, which is Northwest Missouri, but it is relevant statewide. Both the county and the city of St. Joseph imposed a sales tax on marijuana products, and that's similar to the St. Louis County case, where the judge ruled that both the city and the county in that particular area can stack those sales taxes. And that's in addition to the state sales tax that was imposed by Amendment 3, which voters approved and legalized recreational pot. Now, remember, the supporters of Amendment 3, those who came up with the campaign and wrote Amendment 3 and funded it and all that sort of thing, they tried to say, no, that's not what we meant. We didn't mean that you could stack those, but they didn't write it clearly, which is one of the reasons that you and I gave back then. We're saying, I've got some issues with this. I personally am pro legalization.
Right.
And they didn't write that part well. And eventually they said, even during that campaign, they said, well, the courts will have to figure it out. And that's exactly what's happening, but it was not that well written here.
The problem with messing with the Constitution rather than doing these things by statute.
Yes, exactly. The overall question, though, is certain to be decided by the Missouri Supreme Court sometime down the road. So different courts and jurisdictions are going to rule. It's going to go to appeals courts, and then it's going to go up to the Missouri Supreme Court. It'll be a year or two before we get a final resolution on this.
Goodness.
Okay, here's something I didn't think I'd be warning you about when I began my broadcasting career a long, long time ago in the 90s.
Yeah.
Watch out for armadillos.
The armadillos are coming.
The armadillos are here, man.
I thought we were worried about cicadas, Mike.
Well, that actually has something to do with this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so over the years, the critters have slowly migrated up to this part of the country, this part north, because normally you drive down in Texas or you drive down in Mississippi or you drive in Oklahoma, you see armadillos. They're all over the place. Well, now they're up this far north.
We went down to Texas last summer, saw Kathy's brother, and armadillos were just starting to show up here.
Yeah.
And so we mentioned it to Mike, and he goes, they are actually doing the hitchhiking thing on trucks to come up here.
Really?
Oh, really?
They're hanging on to trucks?
No, they get inside pipes. So pipes that are transported from Texas come up 44, and I guess they hop off or something. I thought, well, that's a pretty good story. I'll go with it.
But there's also been a migration.
Yes.
I mean, they've just over the time. I mean, I remember first time I saw one, and I was down in Cape Girardeau, I think, and I'm like, that's a freaking armadillo.
Oh yeah.
And then 20 years ago or so, I'd go visit my parents in Emporia, Kansas, which was now my mom lives in the Kansas City area now, but they lived in Emporia, Kansas at the time, down I-35. And then that's sort of south central Kansas. And I remember seeing a couple there and thinking, Howard, well, now this is part of their migration. This is part of where they've gone to.
Yep.
And so the Missouri Department of Conservation says that the armadillo sightings along roads and highways, particularly in the St. Louis area along 44, are getting to be much, much more common as the weather gets warmer and they're able to do more. Now, here's the thing is that insects are a major part of their diet.
Right.
So now you mentioned the cicadas.
Yeah, the cicadas, yes.
This is a big deal. One of the reasons that they're naturally moving more now, it's warmer weather. We've got this massive brood of cicadas. And so armadillos have terrible eyesight, which is why they don't see your car coming. They are up close viewers, and so the cicadas are like a buffet for Lizzo, buffet for JB Pritzker. I mean, they're attracted to it because it's a whole bunch of food,
and they make a lot of noise. So you can just find them by sound rather than sight.
Exactly, and a lot of them, once they start to get old, they're dropping on the ground or they're coming out of the ground. And so the bottom line is that these things, it's not like hitting a squirrel or a rabbit or something like that hops across the road.
Oh yeah.
these will jack up your car. I don't care.
Absolutely.
I don't care what you're driving.
Mhm.
You can be driving an F-350. It will jack up your car.
They're armored little buggers.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's like hitting a big rock.
I read a story a few years ago about a guy who decided they were pests and out in the country and actually tried to shoot one with a 22, and the bullet ricocheted off and came back and hit him.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Now a bigger slug maybe would do something different, but they will mess up your vehicle. So be extra careful with the armadillos. That was a much longer news story about armadillos than I thought I was going to.
Well, we needed the diversion, and based on the reaction online, everybody's seeing the armadillos and dealing with armadillos now. So it's a thing,
right? It really is. Amy on Rumble says, "Would a dog chase them off? Depending on your dog." Probably I would think the dogs would chase them, but the thing is armadillos aren't very fast, so your dog's going to catch them.
I'll be honest
They're
with you.
not going to do anything with them when they get them.
The armor plates.
They just roll up, but they're not going to do anything.
But
with them.
out in Washington, where they call it an armadillo armada invading the city, a lot of people have mentioned that they're faster than you think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Kathy saw one in the backyard, believe it or not, in our backyard.
Yeah.
A couple of days ago. And that little guy just raced across the yard, and Kathy was kind of surprised. Wow, these guys are actually kind of fast.
They're kind of like science fiction-y looking.
Yeah, they look like aliens.
Yeah,
they do.
They really do. All right. You don't typically think about football when you grab your fast food, but some Battlehawks fans can meet some of the players this afternoon at Mickey D's.
Oh, cool.
Of all places. Yeah. Travis Feeney, Freedom Akimaladum, and Jared Jones-Smith will be signing autographs and taking pictures at the McDonald's on Olive Boulevard in Creve Coeur this afternoon, just a little bit after 5:00.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if you want to stop by there and run by McDonald's, if you go in, actually, if you go through the drive-through, a little birdie told me that one of them might surprise you by handing you your food.
Oh, no way.
They're going to be in there signing
cool.
autographs and meeting people. Of course, tomorrow, the big game, 3 p.m., they're playing San Antonio Brahmas at the Dome. And whoever wins that game gets home field advantage for the conference championship the following week. So it's a big, big game.
Yeah.
3 p.m. at the Dome. So daytime game.
A win this Saturday means 3 consecutive Dome games.
If they keep winning.
Yep.
Exactly. Including because we're hosting the championship.
Yes.
Of it. All right. The Cardinals road trip continues this afternoon. They start the series with the Phillies at 5:40. Miles Michaelis gets the start for this one. And because the Cubs did lose yesterday,
ouch.
Yeah, the Redbirds are not ouch for me. But, the Redbirds are now in second place by themselves in the division. Just remember, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we had given up on the Cardinals.
Yeah, seriously.
They were last place and falling. Now they are second place and climbing quickly. They are 5 games behind the Brewers right now.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the despondence of Cardinal Nation just might have gotten to them finally. It's just like, okay, we can't let this happen.
Because last time they were at 500, I believe was at least 6 weeks ago. So it's been a while. So to climb back to 500, good for them.
That's pretty awesome.
Okay, Laura on Rumble says about armadillos. Is this true, guys? They say that they can hold their breath and walk on a river bottom.
I don't know.
Is that really?
I don't. Who knows?
These things are getting more fascinating by the minute, if that's correct.
They are aliens.
Oh man! All right. Speaking of the Battlehawks, tight end Jake Sutherland going to give us a preview of that big game. We're going to talk to him right around 8:35 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
I've been in love and lost my senses, spinning through the town.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Sooner or later, the fever ends, and I wind up feeling down.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert Meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today. We'll see a high of 82 degrees. Rain then moves in this evening. Rain will be likely overnight with a few rumbles of thunder possible as we drop to 66. And Saturday, showers and thunderstorms likely, especially during the first half of the day, becoming a bit more scattered in the afternoon. Saturday's high 76. Sunday looks a little better, partly cloudy and dry, but warmer with a high of 85. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
Fox News commentary.
To add insult to injury, illegal immigrants are driving up the cost of hotel accommodations in New York City. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Something amazing is happening when power outages strike. Teams are powering through them. That's because CDW Solutions architects are building more resilient IT and electrical infrastructures with Schneider Electric. With EcoCare remote monitoring services and 24/7 support, your organization can do more than keep the lights on. Schneider Electric and CDW make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/Schneider Electric.
Illegal immigration is bankrupting many American cities, particularly the sanctuary ones like New York City. Here's another example. Illegals are driving up the cost of hotel rooms in New York City. Inflation is part of it, but another big part is attributed to the thousands of freeloading illegal immigrants who are squatting in taxpayer-funded and often luxury hotel accommodations. Rooms are now averaging over $300 a night, and if you've been to New York City, you know that doesn't get you much. Part of what's driving the supply and demand issue is that dozens of hotels have been converted into migrant shelters. This is costing New York taxpayers an arm and a leg, but I don't actually feel bad for y'all because you keep voting for this. I do feel badly for the tourists who are coming to the Big Apple and can't afford a decent hotel room due to the jacked up rates. Illegal immigration will bankrupt America. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
So you want Steph's Pizza, but you're in Lake St. Louis and it's just too far to go. Not anymore. Now you can feed that Steph's Pizza craving quickly and conveniently in Lake St. Louis. Same great menu with a new location, 111 Pond Fort Trail in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peter's on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis. Check them out at stephspizza.com because tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the choicest destinations that you'll love in the United States that you can choose from for just $99 for a 3-night stay. Take your family, take a special loved one, but get away. Go on vacation with Westgate Resorts. Call now to make a reservation for just $99, and you get a free $100 Visa gift card. Call Westgate right now and book your vacation. Here's the number.
800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. That's 800-407-9204.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
My point about the governor there, it's absolutely about power.
I read this, I almost fell out of my chair.
News Talk STL.
This thing is just absolutely dripping with irony.
News, analysis, opinion. The 80s.
Excellent.
Never been a decade like it. Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
All right, get ready to clap. Hey, what I like about you. Romantics?
It is a romantic.
Romantics, yeah. All right, if there's ever a time that people need something to unite around, it's right now. And in St. Louis, we've got the St. Louis Battlehawks. Huge game.
Yes.
Tomorrow at the Dome.
Huge.
Yes, because that huge game could mean we have another huge game the week after that, which means we'd have another huge game the week after that.
They're all bigly important.
Yes. We're joined by Jake Sutherland right now with the St. Louis Battlehawks. And Jake, man, appreciate you being on the program. First, I got an important question about the clubhouse here to ask you. Some of your teammates are going to be appearing at a McDonald's on in Creve Coeur a little bit later this afternoon. Travis Feeney, Freedom Akinmolatam, and Jared Jones-Smith are going to be at the McDonald's. I want to know who is most likely to steal somebody's French fries. I say Travis, but what do you think? I mean, you know these guys better.
Good morning,
Hey.
fellas.
Good morning.
I think all three of them are viable to steal some French fries.
Now, Jake, is it true that some of you guys might surprise some drive-through goers by giving their food?
Yeah, yep, for sure.
That's pretty awesome.
I mean, I think that's great that that they're doing that. So let's get to the game here. I mean, tomorrow, San Antonio Brahmas. Now the good news is we've got AJ McCarron back in the game tomorrow. I mean, he's not day to day anymore. I mean, he's going to be in the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was a full participant in practice, but obviously we're prepared for everything.
Right.
Coaches do a really good job throughout the week and with the game plan. I'm making sure everybody on our roster, all 50 of us, are prepared to play no matter what the circumstances are. So that's kind of the roundabout way of talking about that.
Yeah. So yeah, I get it, man. So now we've got to the game. Obviously, no matter what, you're in the conference championship against San Antonio. So no matter what, you're playing them this week and next week. And I know there are some teams that would be tempted to say, you know what, ease up, let's save it for the big conference championship game. But there actually is a lot at stake tomorrow, home field advantage and who gets to host. And there is such a massive difference between what happens at the Dome with the Battlehawks and basically every other team in the league right now. Talk about the importance to the players, to you guys, of being in the Dome in St. Louis as opposed to needing to win on the road somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, playing at the Dome for us is a huge advantage. Our fans are incredible. They're rowdy, electric. They give us a bunch of energy. So securing that home field game for that first week of the playoffs is all that we're thinking about. I mean, we want to set the tone this week and make sure that tone's set for next week as well.
Jake, now I don't want to throw shade at other teams. Well, actually I do. But playing away is a huge. There's a huge difference there, right? Between playing at home to 30,000 plus fans versus however many the other teams can scrape together, right?
Yeah, no, it's a very noticeable difference for sure. But I think as this league grows and as more and more people see what St. Louis is about, I think some of the teams in the league will start to creep up towards us. Obviously, they won't have fans as good as us ever, but I think there's a potential for everybody in the league to get there at some point.
All right, and you guys are familiar with the Brahmas. I mean, it's not like you haven't seen them before. So what are you expecting out of them and the game? And then what is it that you think that the Battlehawks, I mean, obviously you need to do everything well, but in particular, what should we as the fans be watching for, whether we're at the Dome, whether we're watching on TV? What is it we should be watching for to see these are the keys to the game to get that win? Because like you said, that home field advantage is going to be massive.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at just doing whatever it takes. San Antonio is a team that they're a good team for sure. They're definitely on a roll right now. I think they've been on a 5-game winning streak. Obviously they just beat Birmingham as well. So they're kind of a hot team right now, but we're obviously going to come out very physical, flying around, speed, intensity, and just doing everything and anything that we need to make sure we get this W.
Yeah, and of course we're visiting with Jake Sutherland with the St. Louis Battlehawks. The game is 3:00 on Saturday. It's at the Dome. I think there are still some tickets left, but they're gonna be kind of upper level. It's gonna be another massive turnout that's gonna happen with the game. So how is it hard to not look ahead? I mean, what's the mindset in the locker room right now? I mean, is it a matter of we're all in on this game? Because it would be easy for some players, Jake, to look ahead and say, hey, we got to make sure that we're going to lock down the conference championship so we can play in the championship at the Dome as well. But there's a lot at stake, as we've been talking about in this particular game. And so how is the mindset with Coach Beck or the players to say, hey, this one first, then that one?
I mean, yeah, the goal this whole season is obviously to win a championship. We feel like we have the team to do that. But Coach Beck and the coaching staff, they do a really good job of obviously taking it week by week and focusing on the details. So even though our overall goal is to win that championship, we're solely focused on winning this game and securing the home field advantage for the following week.
And when you're looking at one of the things that I've noticed with Anthony Beckton, I've used some of his Twitter posts, sound bites on the air here, is that he mentioned the other day, whenever there's a setback, like for instance, last weekend's game was kind of rough, no doubt about that. But he says every time that you guys are backed up against the wall, something happens and you respond. So when you're looking ahead to this week, obviously you're not looking to last week, but what are the things that you needed to shore up to get ready for this week's game?
I think we need to focus a lot on our communication, task at hand, and the details. Coach Beck does a good job of making sure we're honing in on the details. One of the things we break down on is details matter, because those are sometimes the key, or most of the time, the key to obviously a win or a loss. When you're not focusing on the small, minute details, whether it's football or life, obviously things can creep up on you when you least expect it.
So when you look at week 1 versus week 10 right now, describe the changes as a unit, as the team itself. What's different about the team over the past 2.5 months?
From a football standpoint, I think from week 1 to week 10, we've always known what we've had as a team. We know our roster, we know our guys, we know what everybody's capable of. I think we've grown closer and closer as a team. We've formed a lot of friendships, a lot of guys that just met each other week 1 or in training camp. I think the closeness of the team and how tight knit we are at this point is really a huge difference for sure.
And of course, we make a big deal out of the attendance, because literally for a home game for you guys, you're over half the attendance of the entire league every week. I mean, the UFL is growing, and if it succeeds, it really has to do with the Battlehawks succeeding the success that you're having. And it obviously shows that, St. Louis loves football, and we've bought in wholeheartedly to what you're doing on the field. So, tell me about what it's like to come out of that tunnel, man, right before the game and have 30,000 maniacs, who have been drinking for 2 hours before the game, and the everything is going crazy out there, because it's an environment that isn't just a typical football in any league.
Yeah. It's an incredible feeling. It's awesome to come out of that tunnel and see all those seats filled up with people that are ready to watch a football game and watch us win. It's awesome. And kind of like what you said earlier, a lot of the success right now is due to our fans, and that's definitely true. And I think the St. Louis fan base sets a really good example of what the fan bases for the other teams can be in the future, obviously, with the future of this league and making sure it kind of stays around. So we need more of them.
Yeah, because a lot of times, people talk about, they get you guys fired up, but the fan base, the home game, it matters. It's got to be a factor in the game, if nothing else, just for the noise when we get rowdy.
Oh, 100%. Whenever you guys get rowdy and loud, we feel that energy for sure. There's 100% no doubt about that when we're on the field. And they're a huge advantage for our defense as well. They're kind of like a 12th man on the field because it's loud, packed. Our opponent's offense can't hear anything, can't make any calls. So it's definitely a huge advantage for sure.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Jake Sutherland from the St. Louis Battlehawks, man, good luck this weekend against the Brahmas, and hopefully we'll have you back the next weekend for that championship game right here at the Dome as well, man. Kick some butt this weekend, man.
Yes, sir. We got you guys.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
man, Jake.
Go Battlehawks.
That's right. Heck yeah.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, Jake. All right. 314-912-1019. The factoid's coming in about armadillos.
Oh, gosh. We're going to have to touch this.
We've had people saying, hey, I read this about armadillos. So as any good news talk station does, we've been researching armadillos.
Yeah, we fact check it.
It's happening.
Yeah.
And you guys are right about some stuff.
It's crazy.
It also means you got about 10 minutes left to get your thoughts in on the Trump verdict. Vic Porcelli going to be here in about 15 minutes.
He might have something to say about this.
I think that Vic's been following the news about the Donald Trump verdict.
I don't know. I mean,
I
maybe.
think he's got an opinion or two on it. So you'll hear from him right around 9:04. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
When you go up, down, jump around, think about you, romance. Yeah. Song whispering in my ear. Tell me all the things that I want to hear, 'cause it's true. That's what I like about you.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com.
How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed, and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. That's 800-696-2871.
Columbo and Katie.
Former President Donald Trump is found guilty on all 34 counts. We'll discuss this with Gabe Pfeiffer at 2:05 and get the weekend weather forecast with Steve Templeton.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
And then the media.
101.9 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL. The 80s.
Bueller.
The 80s.
Let's go while we're young.
Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be.
Where are the dates?
It's Flashback Friday.
Hey, the weekend's here.
That's right. The lover boy. It's funny, my weekend, I mean, weather permitting, I'm just playing baseball all weekend. I've got 3 games. Going to be in Sauget at the old ball field tomorrow. Then I'm going to be at Heine Miney on Sunday.
Heine Miney.
Going to be playing at Heine Miney.
Classic
Down
old
in the South County.
old school field.
Old field, yeah.
Is it weird that every time you say the name of that field, I think of a playground fight in the elementary school where kids yelling at each other?
See, but if you're a baseball guy in the area, you think Heine Miney, you think old school ball field.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a local thing.
Oh, yeah. Weather permitting, of course, on there. And my wife's out of town. She got back from Europe and she's like here 3 days. Now she's in Denver. But I do want to say, just in case she's listening, tomorrow is my wife's birthday.
Yay.
So happy birthday to Rachel.
Happy June.
That's right, because
that's right.
June 1st is her birthday, and we don't limit it to one day. She's declared June to be June,
Right.
Rachel's June. So she said, well, why would I limit letting people take me out for coffee or lunch just to one day?
Right. You take the whole month.
You got the whole month. to
Just
do
so happens it coincides with Junette, which is Janet June.
There you go. Which means the girls need to go get together.
Yes, Janet's
and
at the
do
end
that.
of the month.
That's right. So, and Rachel at the beginning.
There
so
you go.
We got something.
It's all covered.
So happy birthday to Rachel. All right, Vic Porcelli coming away here in about 10 minutes or so. I mentioned the armadillos thing
Yes.
here, and I try to have some fun with it.
Yeah.
But the serious thing is that we are now part of their migration. We are now their territory.
Yes.
Just because over time they've sort of migrated north a little bit. This used to be a southern animal, but now it's
Even before that, they were a
right.
Central American animal,
Right.
and they've been moving north for like 100 years now, it feels like.
And seriously be careful, because they will, if you hit one, it's going to really do some damage
Yes.
on this. But then we had some people who were sending in, hey, I read this about them. So
Yeah.
we were kind of feverishly fact checking, and they were right.
Yeah, I looked at some of these
Okay.
facts and I was like, okay, that can't be true. Oh, wait, that's true.
It is true,
So
yeah.
yes, armadillos are surprisingly good swimmers, but they can even walk underwater
Yeah.
to cross the stream if they need to. And it's helped along by the fact that they can hold their breath for up to 6 minutes.
Oh man.
Boy, that's pretty impressive.
They're aliens. I swear. They're the only armored mammal. They're the only
Okay.
mammal that has armor plating.
See, and I mentioned on the Rumble, I said they basically, it's like the kind of like possums. I mean,
Yeah.
they look like a Tim Burton character.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, you're not wrong. They have
and then what was the other one that
leprosy.
Yes, yeah.
Ooh.
I
Yeah,
forgot who-
do they carry leprosy? They were speculated for a long time that they did, and then they proved it. So
that doesn't mean everyone carries leprosy,
No,
but they can carry leprosy.
they say approximately or more than 20% of armadillos are infected with leprosy, and
Really?
through a genetic study, they found that humans share the same genetic markers of the leprosy that they carry, to suggest that there has been some cross contamination over the years.
So the bottom line here is, if you come across one, now they're not hostile. They've got teeth. I mean,
Yeah.
but I mean, like any animal, they'll defend themselves.
Mhm.
But they've got terrible eyesight.
Yes.
They just forage right in front of them,
Mhm.
but don't handle them directly. Have
Right.
some gloves or something like that.
Mhm.
See, and I would not have known that unless somebody had. I forgot, was that Laura or
Yep.
Amy or
Laura, I think.
Laura?
Because she caught one.
Yeah,
She's
and
got to send us
so-
a picture. I really want to see
I
this.
want to see that. But so be very, very careful and don't handle them, knowing that there's a 1 in 5 chance that has a leprosy. It's not a virus or whatever it is.
Bacterium.
Bacteria
Mhm.
on it that could transfer over to you. So just be careful on that.
Yep. Yep.
I
There have been
mean-
several reports of leprosy patients who came into contact with armadillos.
So here's the thing: is that they're so ugly, they're kind of cute.
Right. Yes.
if that makes any sense.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like certain breeds of dog
Yeah.
where they're just so they kind of round the circle from ugly to cute.
Yeah, because they're so ugly.
Because they're so ugly.
I mean, every year they have that world's ugliest dog contest, and it's like some mutt that's like the tongue is hanging out.
Oh
on the
yeah,
side
it's
or
just,
something.
like no, that's just ugly.
That's just ugly.
Right.
And I'm like, but I now want that dog.
There you go.
I don't want an armadillo.
I'm looking at a picture of an armadillo, and by the way, the name armadillo just means little armored one.
Okay.
Which is adorable. But it looks like a battle pig.
Yeah.
It looks like a tiny little pig who just like, okay, I'm armored up, I'm ready to go. Where's the fight?
Oh man.
So yeah.
Vicky on Rumble just says saw a couple of dead ones in Baldwin on Saturday.
Mhm.
And that's the thing is they won't shy away from urban areas.
See, armored pig. I'm showing a
Armored
picture of
pig.
the guy.
That's true. It looks like
Oh,
a-
yeah.
Doesn't he look? Yeah, he's a battle
Yeah.
pig. The battle
pig.
pig. See, that's a everything in Missouri now is going to be a battle something.
Yes.
Because we got battle
'Cause
hawks.
we got the battle hawks.
Right? So now armadillos show up in Missouri, now they're battle pigs. I think that's a much better name.
Yes, I like that. I think that's to be the official armored animal of the state of Missouri and Illinois.
Yes,
as well, because they're in southern Illinois
They're getting there.
as well. They're going to be all over the place. All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way. Hey, I just want to say thank you to everybody, and yes, John, including you, John the Liberal, who called in as well, because I just decided today that I've got my opinions, Gabe's got his opinions, Stell's got, but what really matters were your opinions, and thank you for sharing them all. Take some time to decompress this weekend. We'll be back at it on Monday here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Always be clear where you get your conservative talk.
The St. Louis Business Journal is now reporting that liberal billionaire George Soros is the largest shareholder of Odyssey,
the parent company of KMOX and 97.1 Talk.
Soros' maneuver raises critical questions about the future of media ownership and influence.
Money and attention is power. And when he has the money and he controls what's on the radio stations, he's going to be able to control the minds, potentially hundreds of millions of Americans.
St. Louis's trusted source and number one
for conservative talk.
This is News Talk STL.
So a friend of mine works up at Millwoods Sports Bar and Grill. She invites me up to a Cards game the other day, and I fell in love with this place.